Kings fans, what's up, everybody? Let's get everything situated here. Joe is going to be joining us here soon. Randon will as well. But looking forward to a fun game in Utah. We got here. Shell C was in here with a little eye emoji. Jacob A, Go Kings and Sharks and Jets. Yes. Yes. There will be some scoreboard watching tonight. And then Noah hits us with a simple Go Kings Go. GKG. Holden, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Whew. Tonight's it should be an interesting game, right? Anyone else kind of worried about it, like I am? I feel like there could be some look ahead. No, maybe so. Yeah. So I wanted to get into this. Zach Dooley shared the lines. Um, Jordan Spence is out. I haven't seen. I haven't seen anything or gotten anything as far as why is Spence sitting, whether it's an injury or a coach's decision. But it's weird because like at this point, I'm like, it might be wrong for me to think this way, but I'm almost hoping it's an injury because why are you sitting him for by choice? He's been one of your better defensemen. And if you're sitting Jordan Spence to get another defensive pair of Edmondson Gavrikov, I don't get it. I really don't. Yeah, Holden, I agree with you. If it's a coach's decision, it's incredibly dumb. So I'm like, that's what I'm like. I'm hoping I get like a day to day thing with Jordan Spence, and it can't be like I've seen some people maybe suggest like maybe they're resting him. It's like okay, well, Hiller just talked about how Doughty's not 100% and he's still playing. He would probably be the guy you'd be wanting to rest. Yeah, and I agree with you, Jacob. Edmondson Gavrikov together seems like is a little concerning. I haven't looked at their numbers together, but we haven't seen it, right? We know Gavrikov can play on the right side. Yeah, maybe it's an illness. And it's like that's like I know it's like it's crappy of us to think that way, but it's like we're kind of hoping because a coach's decision to bench Spence with the way he's been playing, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I don't know. Hopefully we get some kind of clarification about the whole thing. See if we can find out something. See if we can get an answer for why Spence is sitting. But this game, like I mentioned it already, I'm a little worried about it. It's like we just saw what happened in Colorado, and yeah, Utah's not obviously on the same level as the Avalanche, but we all know what Saturday is. We all know who's coming into LA on Saturday. So we're kind of wondering, or I'm kind of hoping that they're not looking past it. Because what's funny, even after the press conference with Hiller after the last game against Winnipeg, Hiller even talked about how the game on Saturday, how everybody's excited for the game on Saturday. So he's even looking forward to it. So it's like you have to be focused. It's we're not in this playoff race, but like I know home ice isn't the end all be all in the playoffs, but with the way this team's played in the during the regular season, and for whatever reason they just happen to find better success at home, you have to figure out a way to get home ice. And it's almost gotten to the point now where if they don't get home ice, it's like a disappointment, right? Because you would think like, oh great, we couldn't pull it through, and now you go into the playoff round thinking like you're just gonna, I don't know, maybe it's in the back of your head thinking like you're just going into Edmonton for game one again, which they have won every game one in Edmonton in the series that they've played, which is it's funny to think about. So because we're talking about home ice, it's like, well, they won game one, but regardless, you want to start at least have that possible game seven in LA. Yeah, the confidence is just there. I agree with you. No, the confidence is there. Well, for whatever reason, it's just like maybe it's just a mental thing. Because Joe's gonna join us here soon, and I was talking with him earlier, and he looked at a lot of the numbers separating home ice and away, and they're very similar. Very similar. So I'm curious to talk to him about that. We're also what's up, Jimmy? Jimmy says, "What's up, boys? What's up, Jimmy?" The boys will be here soon, but I wanted to talk with Joe about this when he hops in here. I don't know if you guys listen to the PDO cast with Dimitri Filipovich, and he has various guests on throughout the week. But he had Sean Woodley on there, who's like the goalie expert. I don't know his actual affiliation, but they talked a lot about Darcy Kemper yesterday, and it was really, really insightful. So I wanted to get Joe's take on it, and we can talk about because it's tough. Because with Darcy, yeah, like we be screaming to the top of high heavens about how he should be the Vezina candidate and all that. But it was a lot of his like his baseline numbers are great, right? Goals against average, top three, I believe. Save percentage, like top five or around there. Wins at home, whatever his win loss percentage, his point percentage is great. But then you look at like all those underlying stats that, of course, we've talked about, like with the Kings and how structured they are defensively and how good they are defensively. They're going to limit a lot of those chances that come the other way. So those expected goal numbers aren't going to be as high as, or I get expected goals against are going to be as high as some of the bottom feeder teams like Anaheim or San Jose or whatever. So goalies aren't expected to make a lot of saves, and that's pretty much where the type of environment that Kemper's in, right? So he's not really pressed into doing a lot of the work that some of those other goalies would. So maybe it kind of hurts him a little bit. But I want to dive into that with Joe a little bit further. But otherwise, it's like we got puck drop. Evanson Gavrikov starting off 2-11 at home in the playoffs since 2015. It feels like it, huh? I mean, man, what was it? The I forget what was it, the first series or the second series? First series should have won Game 6 at home. I don't really ever go to away games. Shall you see? I mean, if it's in Anaheim, it's right down the street. But besides that, how about this Kuzmenko guys? Like Kuzmenko, stud. I want to talk. We'll have a conversation too about whether, because I've seen it's already starting about how the Kings need to re-sign Kuzmenko, and might be a little premature. I get the excitement, I get the hype so far, but I'm a little. We'll have to have that conversation maybe later on. Oh hell! All right, that looked offsides. That was a snipe, but that looked offsides. What happened there? Yeah, this is that might be just a great shot. That was close though. Yeah, challenge. It's offside. I think it's offsides. Good. I think it is offsides. Coaches don't challenge unless they know for sure. Quick decision, quick review. Offside. I saw that live. You have a draw. You do a drop pass like that, the blue line, you're almost guaranteed offside. So I found out Jordan Spence took warmups. So this was the coach's decision for whatever reason to have Jordan Spence sit. I don't know why. We'll have to wait to hear from Hiller after the game, but Jordan Spence takes warmups and he's a healthy scratch for today. So I'm not sure. I think the thing that's so frustrating, Lead, because I totally get you. The thing that's so frustrating is like it seems to be working. There's got to be like something else going into it. Oh, Kev, holy hell. No way. Look, Kev going crazy already. Joe, I can't wait. Joe's gonna must be losing his mind that Jordan Spencer scratched to see a defensive pair of Gavrikov Edmondson. Make it make sense. Just go 11-7. Oh, he was way offside. That wasn't even close. That actually looked a lot closer and live. Yeah, you make that lateral pass right there on the blue line, you're always gonna be offside. That wasn't even close. Yeah, Christian, I totally agree. Like, why not just go 11-7? Lewis isn't gonna sit in Utah. Like that, that's that's not happening. But no, I agree with you. All the media was surrounding Lewis at the morning skate today. I was it's funny because I don't know if we've talked to Trevor Lewis at a morning skate all season at home. It's funny that in the NHL, like that's a thing. Like a guy shows up in Utah and everybody has to pay attention. Like, oh, look, Trevor Lewis, he's playing Utah. Oh my God, it's like the biggest story ever. Like it was like the same thing with Jordan Spence. I guess Jordan Spence from Australia is maybe that's a little bit bigger news. You're in Australia. I guess it's just an NHL thing, I guess. Man, Kings have no flow to this game at all. I really hope this Turcotte and Janot injury. Oh my God, Kemper, holy nice save. Edmondson Gavrikov pair already getting hemmed in. Edmondson gets beat. We don't know anything more on those injuries, Mikey Money. Just day to day is all we heard. I've seen Turcotte and Janot after the games, and they seem to be moving around pretty well. So there's no like limp or anything. There's no casts or whatever. So maybe it truly is day to day. I don't even know if they're skating though. But I haven't seen anything like their gait is fine. Hopefully they're back soon. Man, 6 shots to 1. It's been like 4 quality scoring chances already for Utah. Well, this is the first time. Wait, no, second time Kings have played Jersey, Utah. Dude, by the way, I was looking at some of Darcy Kemper's home stats this year and comparing them to like franchise history. I think he's second in goals against average behind Jonathan Quick in 2012, and I believe he has the highest save percentage in Kings history for all games for home. Insane stats. Mikey, what's up, Mikey? Hey, Russ, want to win the division? Can we win the division or bring on the Oilers? Oh, oh my God, it's been like 4 or 5 quality scoring chances. I don't know, Mikey. Like, I would love to win a division. Yeah, like definitely get me away from Edmonton to face. I don't know, St. Louis is. I'm a little scared about St. Louis, to be honest with you. Like, it's almost. I'm almost maybe favoring Edmonton more than I favor St. Louis. St. Louis has been those 3 game stretch that St. Louis played the Kings. And after those 2 games they played at home, I thought like that was the best I've ever I had seen an opponent play in LA this season by far, clearly. And I told people like after that, I'm like St. Louis is going to make playoffs, and they were like 5 points out at that point. And since then, what they've gone 9, 10 in a row, unbeatable. And this is without Parayko. Remember, Parayko got hurt like the last shift of that Kings game, the one that they won, I believe, after the deadline. Or no, the other one they won because he didn't play in the second game. But God, man, get the puck out. St. Louis is scary as hell right now. I'd almost rather have Vegas just play St. Louis, and then Kings just have to figure out a way to beat Edmonton before they can do anything. Are we going to play any offensive zone time at all today? Tournier's matching up his top line against King's bottom line. I haven't heard anything else on McDavid from Edmonton. Definitely a curious situation, especially around this time. They're not going to say much. I agree with you, Lieb. Agree. Man, the pressure Utah up ice. 3-man forecheck. Oh, that's a bad pass. I love me some Warren Fogle, dude. Like, I freaking love that guy. Absolute gamer. I can't wait to see him in the playoffs. Kings have one shot on goal. 7 shots to 1. Random Glenn's updating us on stats. Great start. Interesting. Interesting. Oh man, I'm kind of peeved off about the whole Spence thing. Dan, we are trying to figure that out too. I was told he took warm-ups, so it doesn't seem like it's an injury or illness situation. Seems like a coach decision as to why Jordan Spence is sitting, which I have no idea why. Oh man, I don't. I facepalm for sure. Yeah, I hear this too. Edmonton's fans bashing Fogle, and I know he was a healthy scratch a couple games last year too. But man, it's like there's no way in hell you could healthy scratch Fogle. Like man, like he's been probably one of the Kings' best 5-on-5 players, if not the best, statistically at least. Plus minus, I think on best on the team. Leads the Kings in even strength points. He's almost like one of those players. Like you wonder, like how good he really would be, like in a legitimate, like top role. Because he's not getting it right now, but he's still producing. Right? You never know. Plus 32 on the year. That's insane. Yeah, the Fogle signing, man. Dude, Edmonton losing Broberg and Holloway. Holy hell, that's like massive. I'm so glad they don't have them. I have a question for my counterparts here at Hockey Royalty once they get here about the uncomfortable talk during the offseason that Blake talked about. Here's some zone time. Random Glenn, right now, like legitimately, like I know you're just, I know, like I feel you, man. Like we got to sweep Edmonton, but Kyler Yamamoto, yeah, I forgot he's on Utah. Huh? Kyler Yamamoto, Klim Kostin, just Bukestad. Isn't Bukestad on Utah? That's another one. It's beating us in Edmonton. All the names that we've had to go through over this stretch. Or Clarky. Yeah, maybe Jock. Maybe. Um, it's weird, right? Like we're like that's like we're kind of hoping for that in a weird, messed up way. Obviously, not too big of an injury, but I know. In last year, remember like how good Broberg was for them. Like his numbers weren't that good, but I felt like he played so well for them in such a limited role. Like you saw the flashes of what he is now. He never really got the opportunity in Edmonton, but like there were spurts throughout that series that was like, oh crap, this Broberg guy. Even Holloway too, the same thing. Both of those players, like, okay, you could see they're quality players. It was good on the Blues for finding that too. Yeah, we're not looking good. I'm Ray. What is up with this road home split? Yeah, super obvious to us. Holloway scored a couple times too. I forget that this is the Kings' first real game in Utah, like because they've been there so many times in preseason and whatnot. Yeah, so no wonder they're doing all that Trevor Lewis love. I kind of like how Jeff Malatas played. Nice takeaway by Hellenius. Kings legend Daniel Brickley. Remember them when they signed him? They hyped him up so much. He played one game and we never saw him again. That was the weirdest signing. Played him one time, and they're like, "Oh crap, he sucks." Then he never played again. Yeah, he sucked. He just didn't. He wasn't good. They hyped him up so much. Oh, good shot. Oh, Paul Ledoux, Kale Clegg. I think Kale Clegg was partially our fault as fans. At least I had higher hopes for him. Yeah, Ledoux was hyped up though. I remember that. Ledoux played for a bit. He played for the Islanders for a little bit too. I think it was the Islanders. He was decent. He wasn't like terrible. Like he could play in the NHL, like fringe 6'7" guy. It's like nobody wants to. I know nobody will say it like as far as like from the Kings, but like let's be real. Like Malot's probably looked better in his stint than maybe Lewis has looked all year. Is that blasphemy? Oh, speak of the devil. Oh, you only played one game for the Isles? I thought he played a little bit more. Joe,
Russ,
what's up, man?
how we doing?
I thought
I'm all right.
I thought we had lost you after the lineups that came out.
No. So full disclosure, I'm just able to turn the game on now. I see the shots are 11-1. I don't know what's going on
very
there.
indicative. Very
Okay.
indicative.
Okay. What is was there an explanation? Has there been an explanation? Like what's up? Is Spence sick or is he hurt? Do we have anything?
Nope. He took warm-ups from what I heard.
Oh.
So yeah, that's all we got. Very.
And I like, did Mo Ferrari take warm-ups? Like, I know it's weird, but like, or was he such a late scratch that like Mo Ferrari?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or did they plan on having everybody take warm-ups and then they were gonna like? Interesting, huh?
I mean, it seems like
so,
as far as like what Dooley shared, the rushes were like legitimate with Morbarari and Spence sitting. So I think that's kind of what you're getting at, right? Like, is Spence take line rushes and then like
okay.
But no, I think seems like it's very much the plan.
Yeah.
What's up, Al Smith? Oh. Yeah, 11-2 in shots. It's not been too great so far.
Okay. Say. Hey Russ, I think did we just lose me for a second? Was it you or me?
I think so. It might be me. My connection's a little shoddy, but I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, good.
What's up, everybody?
There we go.
Gwendolyn's in here.
Yeah. Hey, chat. I see the chat's been buzzing a little bit. How we doing? Mm-hmm. So Russ, you said 11-1, 10 or shots are 11-2 now. You said it's indicative. What has what's going on?
Well, like I think it was like what 30 seconds in they scored, but it was offside. Gunther just wired one from the top left circle. It was offside. Keller put themselves offside, so that was after a challenge. But I mean, it's been pretty much all Utah since then. I think Kings have really only had like one legitimate chance with Fiala, but 684 hasn't looked too great, as you could imagine.
Shocking.
Fourth line has been getting hemmed in a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah, so pretty much your nightmare.
Russ, so we're it's funny because they're on the road, and I know if depending on what happens in this game, obviously it's not a good start. We'll see what happens if win or lose, whatever. But I was looking earlier, and I know we've talked so much about home and road, and I'm sure we'll get into it again probably on the next pod, and probably every pod until playoffs. We're going to talk about this home and road. And this will probably be something where if I can get the time to dig in a little bit deeper and write a piece on it. But at quick glance, right, and looking at expected goals for and against per 60, scoring chances for and against per 60, high danger chances for and against per 60, shots on goal for and against per 60, shot attempts, go down the line. There's nothing there to suggest they're better at home than on the road. It's a wash. For all intents and purposes, it's a wash. The biggest differences at 5-on-5 are more pucks are going in the net, despite there not being a greater chances or high danger chances, and the goaltenders are saving more, despite there not being they're really clamping down and giving up fewer and fewer and fewer. It's really bizarre to me. And here they are on the road getting hemmed in against a Utah team shortly after at home controlling against a Winnipeg team. It's fascinating because there isn't anything in the numbers in the little bit that I've been able to look at so far. There's more day. I'll dig in a little bit more. There's just nothing to suggest that there should be this drastic of a difference, yet there is.
Right. And nobody's been able to come up with a legitimate answer because you can't look at the numbers and come up with one.
Right.
Because there isn't one.
Because we've talked about it, like matchups and things like that, right? But if that were the case, and maybe, and this is where it probably you'd have to get really granular, and it may be something that simply public models aren't going to capture. You would think there'd be something to suggest, if the matchups were that much better, presumably on the defensive side of things, they'd be giving up fewer high danger chances or fewer scoring chances. And on the offensive side of things, they'd be getting more scoring chances because the matchups are better, or more dangerous chances because the matchups are better. And neither of those really seem to be playing out. It's just a matter of some more saves and some more goals. And I am having a hard time finding the why, other than that at 5-on-5 special teams, the penalty kill has been pretty similar either way. 83%, 80%, pretty similar. I don't have an explanation why the power play at home is 20%. Power play on the road is 12%. There's probably your biggest difference right there. But other than that, it's hard to really pinpoint it.
Leon asks a question, and he says, is there any rule that gives home team advantage, or maybe they just don't get it? There is actually a rule. There is a benefit. When you're home team, you get the last change. So you get the desired matchup you want as far as picking lines or whatever, whoever's on the ice. But I mean, even with that, I don't know if you agree, Joe, but it doesn't seem like that alone should be the answer as far as purely being able to pick whatever matchup you want as the coach.
I think if it was that obvious, it would show up in numbers. And again, at least in so far what I've seen at the team level, maybe if you were to look at maybe Anderson Doughty at home is so much better than they are on the road, or maybe Gavrikov Spence is better at home because they can control the matchups and quote unquote protect Spence a little bit more than they are on the road. Maybe at those levels there are, but again, I just keep coming back to, at least at the team level, it's not reflecting in greater differences one way or the other,
Yeah.
So I tend to agree with you that and again, I mean, I don't know that there's nothing can speak to how drastic it's been, right? They've got what, 29 home wins, which is insane.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
You know, and so, and they're sub 500 on the road.
Yeah.
You know, not like crazy, but you know, there's nothing there's nothing there for there to be that big of a discrepancy.
Yeah, Al Smith kind of asked something similar to what we were just talking about. Do some lines get exposed on the road and get the Kings on the losing end of the change game?
That's a great question. Like I said, I want to dig like at the team level. There's nothing there other on 5-on-5. Like I said, the power play there is a noticeable difference. As far as looking at it from a lines standpoint or a D pairing standpoint, that'll be the next thing that I kind of look at and see, is there something there from a line standpoint? That's a good question. Because the thing is, here's the thing, they're not a bad road team. They've outscored their opponents on the road at 5-on-5. They've outshot their opponents on the road at 5-on-5. They've got they have a better expected goal share at 5-on-5 on the road. They're doing fine on the road. The thing on the road, I mean, I say that as they're getting outshot 60-3. Okay, so maybe you leave this first period out.
Punching a hole in your argument there, Joe.
Yeah, but like there's nothing to suggest that like they're a bad team on the road. They're if anything, they're still a good team on the road.
When you looked at those stats, how was the save percentage on the at home and on the road similar or?
No, so that good let me see. I'm going to pull that up right now because I looked at the PDO, which I didn't break it out by save percentage and shooting percentage. But that's a good let's just see here at 5-on-5 anyways. And again, these are 5-on-5. I'm excluding special teams for the moment. This is, what did I say? This is at home. At home, the Kings have the third best save percentage at 938. And they have the number 4 shooting percentage at 11.14. So 938, 11.1. On the road, their save percentage goes from 938 to 907. Wow. That's 15th. Wow. And their shooting percentage goes from 11.1 to 7.8. Massive differences. Why though, Russ? Again, so this is what I go back to, like, okay, those are clear differences, but there's nothing, again, at least in the expected goals per 60, vice versa, to suggest that it should be that way. Yet, I also don't want to sit here and say and just write it off as like complete randomness, because maybe there's something to it that just isn't measurable, or as Jim Hiller would say, immeasurable, or isn't captured by the public models, or at least what I'm looking at so far. But it's hard not to say there's not a rhyme or reason for it. So there is randomness in this. Like, remember, we're at 38 games, I think, for home and away, give or take 1 or 2. So it's not a nothing sample, but it's still not that big of a sample, right? When you think about it. So I don't know.
I love that our chat is pretty much we're all Kings fans we're so smart. Everybody's kind of on agreement with everything it seems like. Oh, look. We got our triumvirate in chat.
Yes.
Boys,
what's up, Randon?
Here for the last 33 seconds, and I think I'm going to go make myself a sandwich for dinner.
There we go.
Oh, boy.
I'll be surprised if we're not good in Utah.
Can you hear this? Can you hear the volume on mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting a lot of Randons.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, we were talking about the home road split for the Kings, and it's just really there's nothing tangible, at least to grab onto, as far as what makes it so different.
I mean, weren't we like supposed to be like road killers, and that didn't really help us in the playoffs either.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Gavrikov goes to the box.
I think it makes the most sense this year, just so that way we have. I mean, anytime you have home field advantage or home ice advantage. I mean, the last change, when you're a less overall skilled team, like the more advantages you can give yourself to win, makes the most sense.
Yeah. There goes their, Gavrikov's one of their top penalty killers too.
Put the stick in the hands, I guess.
Any reason why Spence isn't playing? We figure that out?
Nope. No reason.
So straight stupidity is.
So that's all we've got so far.
Hey, this is working really well. Let's just mess some things up.
Yeah. Man, 16 shots to 3. Whew. Well, the Kings allowed 19 to the Jets all game last game. You lost 16 to Utah first period.
Oh man. So who was it? Al Smith asked about the lines. Just quickly at home, Dano Fogle-Moore has outscored their opponents 11-1 at home.
Wow.
Now, I wonder, though, I'm going to go to the away, and I just wonder, is the rest of the stats, they're about a 57 expected goal share, 56 shot share, 57 high danger chances share. And away, it's 7-6. But Russ, they got
that would
55.
Be considered. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, but here's the thing. They got a 60% shot share, 55% expected goal share, 53.9 high danger chance share. So it's not as if they're getting outplayed. It's just that's a microcosm of the team. The more pucks are going in at home, fewer are going in. It's like, why? There doesn't seem to be a glaring difference as to why that would be. In again, this is just kind of,
and you can't get a save on the road either.
Right. Man, oh man.
Did you guys already do the ad read at the start or no?
I did not. No.
Okay.
I joined a few minutes after or before you did, Randon. So
that wonderful first period was brought to you by our first sponsor in DraftKings. Hey, basketball fans, are you ready to win some real money? Check out the Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 dunks on its rivals, including Prize Picks. Just select 2 or more players and choose whether they'll have more or less of a certain stat, like points, rebounds, three-pointers, and more. Pick 6 is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Don't settle on a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6 and cash in on your basketball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to play $5. And when they pay $5 to get 50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. In Connecticut, must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions varies by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded non-withdrawable. Pick 6 credits expire 14 days after being issued. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.com or pick6.draftkings.com/promos. My my buddy at work racks it in with the Pick 6.
Yeah.
And I don't watch enough basketball to know. Apparently basketball is like the easiest sport to do Pick 6 on. Like hockey is really tough because it's like, okay, like I have to pick this guy to get a goal. You know what I mean? And like that's real tough, even with the highest goal scorers, you know. But hey, this person has to have a, you know, like it was tough for me to like just bet shots. You know, even then is kind of tough. So I think the easiest one would be like saves for a goalie, like whether they're going to get over or under on the saves. I think would probably be the easiest one. But like basketball, you can bet on so much, including, you know, rebounds, points, 3-pointers made, free throws made. Like you can really like separate it out. I was doing it for football for a little bit because then they started adding other like things like first quarter yards. Like, well, this guy have 10 first quarter yards. So really you just need one catch in the first quarter and then you hit that, you know, even if he has a bad game, you get one catch in the first quarter, it hits that. So, but what do you guys think about all the entry-level contracts being signed?
Yeah, actually, Jacques brought that up. He says, let's have a positive talk after that first period. He says Kings did get Otto Salin and Kenny Connors signed, and Salin is Joe's kind of defenseman.
The little bit that I haven't, I won't pretend to watch a ton of Otto Salin. The little bit I've seen of him, I'm encouraged. Yeah, I'm a fan. So I think it's great. I'm really excited to see them get an opportunity to play. Connors has been a really nice story since he was drafted, really. So this is good stuff for them to get into Ontario and see what happens.
Yeah, the Euro defensemen are so hard to figure out. I feel like. Yeah, I've been caught with so many of them. I feel like in the past, Kim Noisiainen, that's another one.
Yep,
he came over and looked pretty good, and a lot of looked pretty good in Europe too, and hadn't really panned out. So, it's great. It's great to see Celine get signed and just see what happens in the A and go from there.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly.
Jared Wold is the one I'm excited about. Sixth round pick last year. Kid's a stud.
Which one? Oh yeah,
Jared.
I got to get a better look at him, Russ, because I remember was it Dev Camp that they were in, that he was a part of, or the rookie camp, one of the camps, and he played. Rookie, yeah. I must, for some reason I wasn't a big fan, but again I saw it was one game that I was basing that off of, so I'm not going to go like too heavy on that. So I do. There's been a lot of positive buzz about him, so I need to amend that, I think, and just wait till I see a better look.
Yeah, when you look at him, you think about like he comes across like a typical Kings type left shot defenseman, right? Just big, doesn't want to move well, but no, he's got some. I think he's got some skill to his game.
Okay,
confident kid too. And the times we've spoken to him, like you can tell he's got like the demeanor, like the moment's never too big for him. Like when we talked to him at the draft, I remember he was just sitting there like it was just another day at the office. And I'm like, oh. And you get that kind of, when you have that mindset, you're like, okay, it's that Matt Roy kind of personality where he's like, yeah, I'm just here to make whatever, play hockey. So I'm excited to see what he does.
I saw on X that Vegas signed Trevor Connolly.
Yeah.
And Scott Wheeler dumped on it.
Yeah.
And
did he?
Like, oh yeah, he was like, this is a mistake for both Vegas and for Trevor. Like, I just looked up Trevor's stats for his first year, his freshman year. He had 13 points in 23 games in college.
Yeah, Wheeler's like, he's not ready. Although isn't he going to the AHL though? Like, that doesn't mean it's still a good, that doesn't mean it's not, he could probably use more time.
He's going to the AHL, but like still. Like,
yeah.
You know, like if he was undersized, so like you think college would be good for him to like put on some weight and like do all those things. And then if you're not dominating as a first round pick in college, like I know he went to Providence, so he's probably not playing with juggernauts like Minnesota and like his line mates might not be as good, but still, like maybe you enter in the transfer portal and go to a better college and play some better competition. Like you see a lot of goalies who dominate in college and they're going back for another year. And I know goalies are different than forwards, but
Yeah.
they're getting some extra seasoning, and like I don't know. I think it's a mistake too. Like he's not ready.
Let's be honest. Vegas is trading him anyways at next year's deadline for somebody, so it doesn't matter.
For real.
Well, they should want him to stay in college so his stock
True.
doesn't plummet.
True.
Yeah.
True. So
I'm gonna get some water and a snack. I'll be back.
can we talk about how the week after a few days after we talked about a glow up of Jordan Spence, the one day he's not in the lineup, and they just get so Natural Statric Russ has the scoring chances. We already saw the shots, so we know there's a discrepancy in shots and attempts. So let's look at scoring chances. 11-3 in favor of Utah. High danger chances 5-0. And we just got done talking about how good Jordan Spence has been. And I think it's been underrated how good he's been defensively. Now, again, not going to go too overboard. Say just the fact Jordan Spence is out. Everybody's inclined to a bad period. It's not the end of the world. But I think what kind of goes, the one thing that I've noticed is, at least in the numbers, he is the only one to survive the Joel Edmondson minutes. Drew Doughty couldn't survive him. Brant Clark is barely keeping his head above water. And I didn't appear to be in this first period that Gavrikov has probably had enough too. But Spence has been able to do that. And if for whatever reason, they decide to take, whenever they do this, what do you think about this? So they take Spence out and they put Edmondson with Gavrikov rather than keeping Edmondson with Clark.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe it's a little awkward to have Moverari and Gavrikov. I don't know why that would be. What is your thought there?
We've had this conversation, I feel like, for the last few weeks about how you pointed out how they go to this alignment with like 10 minutes left in the game or whatever, 5 minutes left in the game.
Sure.
Up one or whatever, trying to hold on to a lead. And it seems like now it's getting to even more of an extreme. And in the back of my head, I think like part of me just didn't want to believe it. Like it was true. Like there's no way like this could happen like as more of a long-term option or even like a full game option. Cause it's like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
You're hurting your team.
Yeah.
And I really hope this isn't like a glance into the future, but like part of me is thinking that it could be. It could very well could be.
Here's my guess, and I'm going to actually give Jim Hiller. Like I know that people are going to kill him for scratching Spence. Listen, I'm not. This is not me endorsing scratching Spence, but if you're Jim Hiller, you're in this. You know who you're playing in playoffs. When was the last time Moverari played?
Yeah.
He's got to probably get him some time just in case. Two things, Russ. Well, he's got to get Moverari a little bit of time here just because, God forbid, they need him in playoffs. Or, Russ, they got to get Moverari some time because they're going to go 7D in playoffs because I think we're going to see 7D in playoffs at some point.
Why not just go 7D now?
Good question. That's fair. Yep. Then maybe True. Yeah.
And especially like Hiller, like just talked about how Doughty's not 100%.
Yes.
Which is another thing. How we're just like so transparent about Doughty's health right now.
Which is
and he's
so un-Kings-like. Right?
Yeah, so un-Kings-like. He's not 100%, but he's still playing 24, 25 minutes a night. Like, what? Why is that the case? And now you're sitting Jordan Spence, a guy who probably has better legs than maybe anybody on the team.
Yeah.
Or to continue that, doing it even more so. It's almost like you're hampering a guy, your top defenseman who's not 100% in your own words, to play more. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. And I the reason I don't want to go too crazy about this particular game is because I do think Hiller probably is just like, listen, I got to get Moverari some ice time here because we may need him in a couple of weeks. So I can see that. But to your point, I would just go 11-7 then, and get him some ice there, and in doing so, trim some of Doughty's ice because I'm concerned about that. we talk about. Well, I will say this though: 1, 2, 3. He was fourth. Doughty was in terms of 5-on-5 ice time that period, which is kind of interesting.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm nervous about Doughty. I'm nervous about he's not 100% against pick your poison in that Edmonton matchup, McDavid or Draisaitl. And how can you not be concerned if they decide to put Edmonton in a role that is elevated where he's playing with Doughty or Gavrikov in a top 4 role against, again, either McDavid or Draisaitl. But I do think we're going to see a lot of that, to your point, like we've seen it in the third period. I think we're going to see a decent chunk of this top 4 in that Edmonton series, because I think there's this belief and there's this trust of get your big guys and your defensive defensemen kind of there. And I think that's a very big mistake. Obviously we'll see how they ended up shaking it out, but I just would like to hear Hiller's post game before I go, you know what I mean? Because I think it's reasonable to want more.
There's good reasons to do this at this point. And there's also I feel like legitimate arguments against doing it at this point.
I think the arguments
we're seeing it play out on the ice.
Yeah. The arguments are against scratching Spence. Which goes back to what you said. You've done 11-7 how many times before? Just do it again. I think that would have made a lot more sense to do 11-7. Again, I want to hear what Hiller says post game. But I think because he's not no one else to scratch. I mean, I guess in theory you could scratch Clark in this scenario.
How dare you?
That timing was
out of nowhere.
In theory he could, but he's not going to scratch. Obviously not scratching any of the other guys, right? As much as he's not going to scratch Edmondson. So it's either you go 11-7 or you scratch one of the young kids. So I want to hear what he says post game. I hope I would hope it's not any sort of indictment on Spence, and it's just, hey,
yeah,
we wanted to get Moverari some time. This was the opportunity. We thought that we wanted to do it, and Spence was the guy. So we'll see.
Yeah, I really hope this isn't like Spence hasn't been playing well, because if that comes out of his mouth, then we're gonna have problems.
Then it's
Then me and him are gonna have issues. We're gonna have to hash it out. That would make a lot of sense.
Jacques Wixon says, if that's the case, rest Edmondson. We're all there with you, Mr. Wixon, but he's making $3.85 million by 4 years. He ain't getting sat. So, and again, Dave O puts in the chat, maybe Spence is sick. Maybe. Like I said, I want to listen.
I feel like they would have said that. That would have been said.
That's a good point, Russ.
I think they would have. Players are out with illness. That gets. Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, you're right. You're right. That's usually if there's an injury or an illness, something like that for a late scratch, that would have been a thing.
Doesn't it feel like too, like these type of decisions always happen on the road? Like it feels like we remember even going back to last season, and maybe it was just like the timing of it, because remember when Clark and Spence were kind of rotating in and out of the lineup. That was like that Washington, Tampa Bay Lightning, whatever trip. But now tonight in Utah, another kind of questionable decision.
Yeah, this was earlier in the year, but when they scratched Spence, was that in Ottawa? Was that earlier? Or was that in Toronto?
That was in Toronto. Yeah.
After the Ottawa game in Toronto.
Andreas Englund played that game, remember?
Yep. No, how could I forget? So we'll see. We'll see what Hiller says. I mean, again, and it's one period, so we'll see how they respond
Right.
now to
You got a penalty to kill.
Yeah.
Poor
And listen,
Jordan Spence though always gets the shit end of the stick with angling all season last year. And
you know what? If Jordan Spence is sitting in the press box with his AirPods in and he's got the Hockey Royalty Live watch party on, we're with you, man. We want you in that lineup.
Jordan.
We just pumped your tires last week. This is a tough Utah power play too. These guys zip it around pretty nice.
So much skill on this Utah team.
Yeah, they're good.
I think it's weird that they play Sergachev on the top unit over Jersey.
Because I never viewed Sergachev as like a power play guy or PP1 guy at least.
Yeah. Oh, nice play.
Wasn't there a time when Sergachev was like in the LA rumors when they were looking at left D?
I remember that.
They're kind of still looking for lefty. Good play there.
The never-ending pursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always behind you guys, I feel like, by like forever. I don't know why that is.
I'm at 1850 right now.
Yeah, I'm about 8 seconds behind you.
Pause my stream.
All right.
for a
I'll make
second.
sure I ruin it. I'll make sure I ruin it for you.
That's all right. That's the nature of coming on these streams. This is a fun team, though, guys. This Utah team, like I said, this year it ain't going to happen. But
The Gunther
Yeah.
signing at the beginning of the year, I remember
he's a freak.
I was like, wow. Well, he had only played like 20 games or so. Then all of a sudden got like a $7 million, 8-year or whatever. I don't know what his contract is, but I know it's substantial.
It's healthy.
And dude, yeah, good job by Bill Armstrong.
Like that's the thing is you got to take your shots and you might lose them sometimes. Like if you look at, Buffalo, they took some shots and shockingly a couple of them, maybe didn't work for whatever reason. But like, wouldn't you rather take your shot on a guy that's 22, 23 with a huge ceiling versus taking your shot on a guy that's approaching 30? Like in his best days are very, very little that's left. I think the you're starting to see GMs do that more. And yeah, you may lose some, but I still think, like, take case in point that Buffalo with Dylan Cousins. That's a big contract, right? For, so early in his career. But because he's so young and there's still so much potential in his game, like that's still movable. They moved him for good pieces. Like Norris is good. Bernard Docker is good. It's fine if you think Cousins is the best of the bunch. I got no problem with that. But the point is they got value back from that. It's not like he was so bad or there's nothing there. But if you sign a guy that's 28, 29 to like a max term deal, in 2-3 years, if it's not working, you're talking like buyout. You can't move them at that point. You know what I mean?
I mean, if we can move Pierre-Luc Dubois, anybody can move anybody.
I was going to say, we kind of saw that in some sense.
How old is he?
This offseason.
How old is he? He's 26. That's still movable. And he was movable because Washington had a goalie on a contract they wanted to move.
That had to feel like a huge gamble for Washington, considering the season he was coming off of. Like I don't know what it is. They've done such a good job.
That's what they were doing. Like, consider this is a team that was horrible. Like I know they made the playoffs, but they were atrocious last year. Like, so you figure they were revamping and reshaping their roster. Like in their mind, it's like, wow, like we were really bad last year and snuck into the playoffs because nobody else in the East wanted it. But I don't think it was that big of a gamble in the sense that, like, if the things didn't work, then the whole thing's it is what it is, and they're just riding this Ovechkin thing out, and it's just going to crumble. They're going to have to rebuild. But they took a bunch of shots. Granted, that was the biggest term shot that they took. But
hit on a lot of their draft picks too.
Oh man. I mean, the expectations, like you said, Joe, like they weren't high coming into this, at least.
No.
That's why
people still don't believe that they're going to do a ton of damage.
What I mean, the biggest gamble that the Kings could take would be with LaFerriere this offseason.
See an RFA?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. What do you think about that, Russ?
What was the question? Sorry, I was listening to. It was a weird icing call.
Speaking of gambles with young players, the biggest gamble that the Kings could take would be with LaFerriere this offseason. Like,
do you
you think it's a proven deal, or do you think they lock him up like on a 5-year?
What I'm worried about, I don't know if you guys saw the article, but I think it was The Athletic. They talked about how they think offer sheets are going to be a big thing this summer
because of the success of the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, well, I didn't read it, but I just kind of saw the headline. I need to get into reading it, but I mean, I would think general managers are looking at the success the Blues have had with that and thinking like, okay, why can't we do that?
They should be.
Offer sheets should be a thing, right? It's their offer sheets in the CBA for a reason.
I think so. They
that article that you're talking about was in direct response to Matthew Knies for Toronto being the RFA, and that instead of like where the Leafs have to be careful because they might lose Marner to free agency and Matthew,
to
an offer sheet. You know,
see that's a team that you do that to. You do that to put. That's what you should do, and like. I think it was it's Doug Armstrong is the GM for St. Louis.
Yeah.
He was talking on he was interviewed on Spit and Chicklets. He thought that actually it could be reversed. Offer sheets may go back to being not really a thing. Now maybe he's just saying that because he doesn't he's got to keep things quiet.
Like, nobody do it to me.
So that could be something that he's saying, but maybe because with the cap going up, teams may be a little bit more able and willing to match or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it should be something that is used a little bit more frequently than we see it.
I mean, come on. It's like adds so much more drama to a league that desperately needs it, at least in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I feel like every offseason there's like one guy that everyone just goes crazy with. And that's pretty much all the offseason is talked about, like the Eichel summer. That's all we talked about the entire summer.
And he wasn't even a free agent.
Yeah. And he was just a trade waiting to happen. That summer was pretty active, though. But I think that was the Kraken summer. But
so exactly, just to kind of make sure I'm thinking about this right. So another team makes a contract offer to the player, and if he accepts the offer, then the host team can match it.
They have like a week or whatever to match it.
And if they do match it, then wherever the compensation lies dictates how many picks they get.
Correct. Yes. So there's like a formula that they come up with that, like I think it goes by the range of the value, like a cap hit. Or the AAV or something like
the team that signs it doesn't get compensation if Edmonton were to match it, St. Louis isn't getting picks, are they?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No.
No.
But if you lose the player, you get
then
picks.
you get picks. Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Like
I thought
like the Blues and they had to I think it was a first round pick for Holloway or Broberg and a third for the other player or something like that. But what's interesting about that, and Friedman actually had to clarify this on a recent 32 Thoughts pod, it has to be your draft picks for that year. So if you don't have your draft picks, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
Like
right.
you can't use like say you have a second round pick for another team. You can't use that pick. You have to use your draft pick. So the Blues, I don't know if you remember, they had to make a trade with the Penguins to get their second round pick or whatever pick back before they made the deal. Which Like, can you imagine though? Like, if you're the Blues GM, like, oh, what are you going to give me for this? Because I know you're desperate for this. Like, you need it. Like, you hold all the cards there. I'm thinking, like, what are you going to give me for this? I don't know what that trade ended up being, but I can imagine, like, thinking in the future, like, okay, like now that's a known thing, and teams are looking to make offer sheets left and right. Like, I would imagine, like, if you're trying to get trade picks back or draft picks back, you're probably going to make them pay a hefty price.
Yeah.
So
offer sheets are fun, man. Like, they've always been fun.
So what? So I read or I listened to it, either read or listened to something about, because you can do a similar thing in football, and it was with the Lamar Jackson situation where Lamar Jackson wanted a big contract, and it was either an ex-GM or it was like an agent that said a lot of teams don't like to do those because you're essentially negotiating a contract for the host team, right? Which is usually the hardest part. So, if you get the contract negotiated, the host team can just be like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Like, essentially you did all that work for nothing, right? But at the off chance that you get the player, it's worth it. But he was saying, like, it's a lot of teams don't find value in it because, hey, I'm going to spend all my time and effort negotiating, getting the contract work out. But these are like, page upon page upon page contracts with how much guaranteed money and incentives. And I don't know if NHL contracts are less complicated or not, but I'm sure with the offer sheets, it would be maybe you have to negotiate. Is it a no move clause? Is there this or that in the contract, or all those types of things? And the host team be like, yeah, that's good. I'll keep him. You know what I mean? Like, so he was seeing like some GMs just find it a waste of time because of the amount of effort you put in, and all the team has to do is say, yeah, I'll keep my player.
Yeah, shots are 23-4 now, I believe, or 20-4, 23-4.
We got them right where we want them.
Pump those numbers.
That trade,
Kemper on the road.
I just look back. Yeah, seriously, that trade, Russ. I just looked back. So they ended up trading. Excuse me. They got the second round pick back from Pittsburgh and a 5th round pick from Pittsburgh, and they traded their 3rd round pick in 25 and then a 2nd round pick in 26. So they moved up 3 rounds in 26. Pittsburgh did.
Okay.
Yeah. So they basically they moved back 1 round in 25 and then moved up 3 rounds in 26.
I wonder. This is where I wish like we got like more story into the story, because like how does that conversation get initiated by Armstrong and Dubas? Like, what's like Armstrong calls Dubas, is like, hey man, I'm just I need your second round. I need that 2nd round pick back. Like, what would it take? And Dubas is probably thinking like, why? Like, that would be my first question. Like does he tell him? Like, do you think that like, hey, we're gonna go offer sheet a player and we need to, or do you think Dubas even has a clue or idea? Because I would think, maybe I would think like if you're trying to trade for your pick back and not really ask for players or whatnot, I would assume a good GM would assume like, no, like, okay, he's got an offer sheet in the line.
I bet. Yeah, I bet there's. Yeah.
Like, how much do you think relationships too come into play between those?
Huge.
Huge.
I think it's. I think. Oh yeah, I think
So,
it's. I think it's huge.
You see all these stories come out, especially like at the NFL draft where they do like the behind the scenes about like pick trades and stuff like that. Like, you ever see those like where they come out about like, the Cardinals or whatever? Well, there was a story that came out like with a team called the Jaguars, and the Jaguars were okay moving back, but the Jaguars, like the GM made the other GM tell him exactly who they were picking. He's like, I'm not going to move back if you're going to pick our guy. No, so unless you tell me who you're picking, then I don't care. Or then I'm going to stay pat. I'm sure there's some sort of like gentleman's agreement when it comes to those types of things. I don't know.
Oh, that's a hook, right?
If they call goalie interference on Kempe here, I'm going to lose my mind.
I think the original had to be on Utah.
Yeah, though. I think he had his arm up before the collision.
So what do you think? What do you think a contract for LaFerriere should be?
That's a good question there, Randon.
It can't be anything over $4 million.
How old is LaFerriere?
23, 24?
23. So if you gave him like a deal that's both beneficial to the team,
it's going to be like a 2-year by 3.5, $4 million, right?
I mean, if you gave him
Actually,
a 4-year
no,
deal and
they don't
he became
need to give him that. They don't even need to give him that.
I'm just saying though, if he's
a goal. Oh, Kempe scored.
Oh. Hot damn.
What? Wow, I don't know if I've seen that before.
There's no way they're going to count this. I wasn't even paying attention to the puck. I was paying attention to the player.
So wait a minute. They'll call goals back because a player breathed in the crease. This guy, even though Kempe didn't go in on his own, obviously, can barrel into the goalie, and that's going to
kick the puck in with
Where's
the
skate? Puck?
It's in Vejmelka. If this is a goal, like, listen, hey, hopefully it is for the
We love it, right?
Well, let's be honest.
But the puck's not even on the ground right there.
I know. They did. Like, how are you going to call it a goal? Like, where's the puck the entire time?
That's if I mean, I might get kicked out of the game if I'm the Utah head coach. Toronto called that a goal.
Toronto with the Kings assist, first time ever.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we know we hosed you on Toronto game, but it's Utah. Like, nobody really cares. Like, here you go.
I'm going to say this.
Here's a freebie.
Right? No, I don't ever want to hear anything about Toronto or reviews or officials and the Kings ever again. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Let's honestly.
It was so funny because the next game they played.
Yeah.
But that picture they're showing. I don't know if you guys are on there now, but it's like that seems. I think that's way after the play.
But
so weird.
How is that not? The goalie has no chance to make that save.
You got to just call a penalty there. Well, what's the rule on that? I agree with Wow, outstanding. Play's going. Kings are winning.
That's
unreal.
I'm on the phone immediately with the league if I'm the general manager of Utah. That's horrible.
Oh, and then Kempe just took a penalty.
Kempe or Kemper?
Ooh.
They're pissed at Kempe. They're upset with Juice. He's got a little diva in him. He's got a little
the juice is sour.
That was weird. So I caught some of what the ref kind of explained. I thought he went pretty good. I didn't catch all of it, but he talked about how he said because of 92, whatever fouling the player into him, it's a goal. That was pretty much just a summarization of it.
That's fine. I get that. But how many goals have we seen called back because a goalie doesn't have the opportunity to make a save because a guy looked at the crease? And yet that
but it seems like the reason was because it was based off the Utah player initiating the contact. But I agree with you, Joe. Like, how many that still hasn't negated them from disallowing the goal.
I think that's horrible.
They're going to give that to Kuzmenko because it went off the skate of Kempe?
Is it Kuzmenko's goal?
That's what NHL.com is saying.
Hell yeah. What a pickup.
Extend him!
Okay. Can we chill on the extend him talk for like a cool minute? Like
8 by 8, dude. Let's get it done.
Let's. I love it. I love Kuzmenko, but we need to pump the brakes a little bit. on the Kuzmenko.
I want zero brake pumpage
for now. Like, let's wait for the playoffs. We got bigger fish in mind. At least I do.
Yeah.
But I am loving what I'm seeing from Kuzmenko because it does seem like he's doing more than just.
Yeah, Carter scores. Let's go 8x8 with the Kuzi extend.
It does seem like
let's announce it mid-period.
We thought he would bring.
Let's announce it mid-period.
Yeah, put it on the highlight reel, like Jacob says.
Yeah,
Gwendolyn says no breaks. She wants no breaks on the Kuzmenko extension talk.
There we go.
I'm not at all opposed to extending him, but I don't want that to Russ's point, I have a Mitch Marner sized fish that I'm looking for. First and foremost. Exactly. So now the tough part about that is there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking at Mitch Marner, right? But I also think that this is one of those things where Mike Marner is going to be the first one that has to go before somebody like Kuzmenko gets signed. Kuzmenko is like a fallback.
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but going on Mitch Marner first.
Marner's going to be signed within the first, 2-3 days of free agency?
Probably.
Could be. I think there's going to be like a sign and trade deal with him. I think a team is going to trade for him and then try to give him an 8-year deal.
I can see that.
Okay, if it's a sign and trade, what do we give up?
I don't know that there's a Kings deal there at that point. Because listen, Toronto wants Byfield at that point.
No, well, does a sign and trade like?
Oh, okay.
The player's going to leave anyway, right? It's a UFA. It's not like an RFA.
Okay, fair enough.
You're pretty much just trading for his rights.
True.
So maybe like a 3rd round pick, 5th round pick, combination of both.
When's the last sign and trade that happened? Wasn't that the Kachuk?
No, because I think he was an RFA too.
Yeah, why is Gavrikov still doing on the ice? 3.5 minutes?
They couldn't get the puck out.
Ooh.
Nice drop back. Little tic-tac-toe. Yeah, Christian Beamer said Jake Getzel last year was a sign and trade. What did they give up for that one?
Oh, he was, huh?
Yeah.
I might be able to look that up on. Oh, I was going to Cap Friendly.
Yeah, I'll grab it. I'm at Pierre-Luc Dubois was a sign and trade. Remember that?
He was. It was a sign and trade. I do love me some Kuzmenko, though. He's become.
So they gave up Bunting and 2 draft picks.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
So they gave up Michael Bunting, forward prospects Vasily. What?
No, I think that was the in-season trade, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a 5th round pick.
Oh, okay. The wrong trade.
From Carolina to Pittsburgh.
Was Bunting and all that.
Yeah.
But what was it from Carolina to Tampa? What was a 5th round pick?
Hang on. No. 3rd round pick. Sorry. 3rd round pick.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which, yes, please.
So Dooley's saying that Kempe got the goal now.
Even LA Kings Twitter said, believe it or not, this is a goal highlight with the shrug emoji.
I don't know.
I do like that Kuzmenko's bonding with the team really well.
Yeah.
He loves to talk. He loves to talk. And it's so funny because I'm sure Kempe, like, he's like, he seems like a nice guy. And Kempe just doesn't really talk much. So every media timeout, man, like just Kuzmenko just following Kempe around and Kempe just slowly just trying to get away from him. Dude. Seems to be working.
I did like Kuzmenko's comment about if he doesn't back check that Kopitar is going to give him a dirty look.
Yeah. Which I think there is something to that. Because you come to a
Sure.
team,
Okay,
and
so,
if
so
you're
that
seeing
that overview, the puck was shot by Kuzmenko. It hit his glove, and then the skate hit the glove.
I
And knocked it
cannot
out.
believe that that's a goal.
So the puck
I-
hit the glove first
Done.
before there was ever any contact with the goalie.
Kempe was barreling into Velmelka. There's like legitimately no way he's going to stop the puck from coming out.
That is amazing.
And the thing is, too, is like how many times, like even then, like you can look at that and say, like Kempe probably still could have had a chance to stop. Like we've seen that get called all the time, all year. Let's put it like this: if I'm Utah, I'm fucking livid. Like I'm absolutely pissed that that's a goal.
Like I said, I'm on the phone with the league right now. If I'm the GM of Utah,
Oh, they gave it back. They gave it back to Kempe.
Kempe,
Yeah.
and Kempe got the goal. Incredible.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Oh my god.
Somehow the Maple Leafs got a goal too.
San Jose and Edmonton, a couple of minutes from puck drop too.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's going. What's the
They're
is the
Let's go
Vegas,
Sharks.
The Vegas game is on?
Vegas. They are leading. Nope, they're trailing Winnipeg 1-0 right now. But this is a game where clearly they've needed Kemper, and he kept it at zeros right now for the Kings, which has been huge because obviously this isn't their best showing. But sometimes you got to figure out a way through these games.
Ooh, Winnipeg just scored,
2-0.
or they're winning.
Ooh, that's
Never mind. It was you said 1-0.
That's rough.
Oh,
That's rough.
What a
Boston
shot!
Kraus.
Oh my god! Wow, that's a really nice shot.
And I see all these names on Utah too, and I'm thinking like, wow, like they're just like one or two pieces
They're
away.
kind of rough. You know who could use Mitch Marner?
Yeah,
The Utah Hockey Club.
yeah, that's a great shot. Really, no defensive breakdowns really either. That's just a good shot.
So he wins the battle on Moverari. Yeah, I mean,
Rutger McGroarty first career goal,
oh, there we go.
according to Cy.
You know what? Utah, especially given the season that they've had this year and all the buzz, they've got an owner that is all in. Like, I fully expect Utah to go big game hunting this offseason, whether that's Marner or whether that's via trade. Like, I bet they're going big.
I think they have the draft picks for it, from what I remember.
Yeah, and
At least last year they had a ton.
This is a fun team. They're really close.
I still think they're missing like a legitimate like 1A defenseman that can eat up like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I've never viewed Sergachev as that, and maybe Russ.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because is it because he wasn't or isn't that, or is it because we were
The
behind Hedman all the time? So like we always just in our brains are like, wow, he's LD2. He's not really a 1. I don't know. I'm with you. Because
I've never viewed Sergachev as
like
number one guy.
Me neither. On the whole, I like the decor, but you're right. They don't have that ace, if you will.
I mean, Marino, Dursey, Sergachev, Kesselring.
That's good. Like,
great players, but legitimate like stud back there.
That's fair.
Other than Marner, who are the top UFAs next year?
There's not that many from what I remember.
Let's
There's not that many good ones.
take a look here, Randy. They're like never is nowadays. I feel like
Maverick Lamoureux is another defenseman Utah has coming up. He's a good player.
yeah.
Mitch Marner. And this might be old. Nikolai
Sam
Ehlers.
Bennett. Oh, Sam Bennett. I know Leaf fans there's been talk in Toronto they want to go out for Sam Bennett. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Nikolai Ehlers, Aaron Ekblad.
John
Brock
Tavares. Oh yeah, Nikolai Ehlers. Nikolai Ehlers
Brock
is
Bozier.
The more I watch Ehlers, the like, nah.
Well, get out of here.
Oh.
You allergic to good hockey?
Apparently. So is Winnipeg, apparently.
Let's see. Brock Besser. Brock
Brock
Besser.
Bozier.
He's going to Minnesota. He's going home. It seems like a perfect fit.
There's some older guys that are kind of interesting that might be ads for contending teams. What, like Duchesne, Brad Marchand?
Duchesne is an interesting one. I think he's still got some juice left.
He's having a season.
Yeah, man, talk about a guy who's turned his career around. That's unreal.
Yeah. He seemed kind of like done.
Was it Ottawa? He was bad and then traded to Colorado, then bought out by Colorado, I think.
Something like
I
that.
forget. Oh, that's a great shot. Holy hell.
Kemper's like, what do I need? I can't do anything there.
There's nothing you're going to do there.
So it's so funny.
I tell you what, man, these players that are finding that these days, that short side at the ear hole, so good.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Moore gets a lot of shit for doing that, but
that's
it goes in sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's really smart.
But the thing is, though, when you miss, that puck's going out more than likely.
Yeah.
So my mom has this
a left shot. Ehlers is left shot or right shot?
Ehlers is lefty.
Okay.
So my mom has this friend at work that makes like these themed like cups or whatever. And so my mom was like, oh, like it'd be cool if you could make my son like a hockey royalty cup so he could drink it while he's on air. And the lady knows nothing about hockey. So she sent me one, and it's all messed up. It's like it has like our logo is like light blue. It's like not even that.
Nice.
And then the photo for Kevin Fiala is like when he's 18 in the AHL.
The Admirals, hell yeah.
Oh, but you got like Dowdy on there. You got
that's such a cool cup. I love it.
Yeah. But it's so funny because our logo is like blue and it's not even, black. And then the Fiala one is him in the AHL.
Yeah, that is pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of random photos. Yeah. I love it.
Because she made me one for the Niners that has George Kittle on it.
I think even Foxy can't believe this is a goal because they're still talking about this Kempe goal.
It's one of the worst. It's just it's unbelievable to me. In the context of how they call other goalie interference stuff.
Yeah.
You breathe on the goalie if you're in the crease and it's no goal. Now, again, I know this wasn't Kempe going into him, but it's not as if the puck was going in the net.
I was worried,
dude.
I was worried about Kempe getting a penalty, let alone the Kings getting a goal.
I can see that. I can see that being a goal if like the puck got past or was going into the net. Like if none of that happened, if the puck was going into the net. But the only reason the puck went in the net is because Kempe barreled into him. Now, obviously, because he was hauled down. But man, oh man. I like usually, so a lot of times when they have these controversial kind of calls, for those that don't listen to 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman sometimes will kind of say, what he heard and like talking to the league and talking to other GMs about what like went into that. And hopefully he does that on his next show because I'm fascinated by how that's a goal.
Edmondson Clark together right here.
I wonder if that's mid-change or let's see. No, they're still out there.
I don't know why. I still just don't understand why they said Spence. I need to figure out. I need to hear from Miller.
I need it from the horse's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I get to see Russell now, win or lose. Russell's back there. So Jordan Spence, what happened there? Well, we won the game, Russ. Whatever. Yeah, but what happened there?
Outshot 24-7. When was the last time we've seen this?
Yeah, this is
The
this
fact
has
that
been
they're
a better,
just tied
been
is
a
insane.
better period. Not a great period, but I'd say it's been a better period.
I think he's probably going to end up saying what you said, Joe, earlier about Moverara.
Yeah,
Getting him a game. Getting him.
I think it's going to have more to do with getting Moverari ice. I mean, assuming
That's
no illness or injury or discipline or whatever, I assume it's going to be, getting Moverari ice. And he won't. The rest of the part he won't say is like we can't scratch anybody else. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I guess in theory he could scratch Clark, but he's probably not going to scratch Clark for power
Well, I
play.
mean, but the thing is, like counter, like I said earlier, like 11-7. Like what?
And that would be the
why not
follow-up
do that?
question.
Yeah.
That would be the follow-up.
I think Kev's starting to. I haven't seen him be that Kev that we saw in March or February a little bit. Starting to fall off a little.
Good. Then he can heat up. He can heat up in the playoffs. Get the ebbs and flow.
No penalty?
Bueller? So if you had a bet right now, game one of the playoffs is Hellenius Forsey for game one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so. Joe thinks that they're going to be 11-7 in the playoffs. I think if they're fully healthy with Janot and Turgot, I don't think so. Not to put words in your mouth, Joe.
No, yeah, I think you're. I don't think. I'm. They may not start with it. I'll say that. Like maybe game one they go with what's gotten them. But what I'd be interested to see if they lose game one. Do they switch?
Mm-hmm.
Do they go back?
Or maybe even on the road.
Yeah. I can see that. I think we're going to see it at some point in playoffs.
How many seen in a while?
Yeah. Like, no disrespect to Malat. I think it's more important that Moverari gets a bit of ice time here than Malat does. Like going back to the 11-7 thing, I'd rather them have 7D and sit Malat because I think push come to shove come playoffs, like Moverari might actually be needed. But he's used to that, just sitting around doing nothing, and then all of a sudden he just goes in and usually is just effective. Moverari.
Oh, he's so good. It's hard to get a read on how the organization views Spence.
Oh, look who that is.
I know.
Matty V.
The first Randon interview on Making It Rain?
Yeah.
Friend of the pod?
Friend of the pod,
Friend of the pod.
Making It Rain pod. Great kid to talk to, by the way. Great kid. He talked to us for a few minutes before and then after. Really, really nice kid.
Oof.
I was so nervous for that interview. August, don't fuck this up.
Why are we getting outplayed so much? That's what I want to know. What is happening?
Can anybody look at Trevor Lewis's minutes? And we'll see. That's the answer.
Leading the team.
Jad's playing for Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Oh, is he playing right now?
Yeah.
Oof, guys.
Uh-oh. What?
This is not a good showing for the Hockey Royalty Pod because we are very much Mo Ferrari and Clark fans. That pair ain't getting it done today, guys.
Oh,
It is ugly.
well, they've never practiced together, so I don't. It's just strange.
Yeah. They are getting
Clark will blame for this.
they're getting
That's what it is.
they're getting outshot 10-0. Is that good?
At least their heart's in it. That's what
Well,
really matters.
if the rest of the team wasn't sucking as well, I would say that's
True. If y'all scores there, that would have been nice.
Yeah, that'd have been big.
Little McFlurry minute goal. Nice pass by Q. Oh. God, I love the way Kev skates.
Yeah.
It's just
Smooth.
the way he moves his feet.
A lot of hips.
A lot of hips.
Yeah. Just enough pressure from Cole on the back to disrupt him.
Very similar to Kuzmenko. I see similarities. At least agile.
Yeah, like in
Really
tight
wise.
with the way they.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh man! So if Vegas loses, Kings need to win this game because that would put them 3 points behind.
Don't say if there's a chance.
But the thing is, though, I'm pretty nervous about St. Louis.
Oh, I would take St. Louis 1,000 times out of 1,000 instead of Edmonton.
Would you?
1,000 times?
Out of 1,000?
I don't know. St. Louis scares me. That's a good team.
I
Not that I think I would agree with you,
you.
Brandon.
How's that?
But yeah.
I agree with both.
Can you do that? Is that allowed?
I'll allow it. Speaking of Edmonton, they're up 1-0 on San Jose.
It's gonna be a blowout. Who scored?
Connor Brown.
Connor Brown. Well, I think the fact that we're tied 1-1
Is a win so far.
That was a positive.
Yeah, this is one of those games where if you can grind your way to a point at least, then look at Kuzmenko is talking to Kempe again. He loves it.
His best buddy.
All right, let's get back to that tinfoil hat question. What do you think? What do you think the contract for Laugh is going to be?
So what is the RFA rule there? What do they have to offer him at this point? Let me go back to see his contract.
I think it's going to be around 2 years. Keep the RFA intact at the end of this year. At the end of his contract, 3.5.
Yes, it'd be like 2
Something
by 3,
similar.
something
I think
like that.
They did something with Kempe like that. I think they did something with Toffoli going back that far, something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with a long-term deal though. Just lock him up. But
like a 5-year deal would put him at 28, which would still allow him to get another contract.
Well, he'd be a UFA after that. Yeah, but I would think that
it would still allow the player. Like, is there a way to do like a 4-year deal to where the Kings get some value and he's still a UFA at 27, to where he's able to cash in again as a player?
Yeah, well, I think the player, he would.
Like a 4x4.
I don't know if it would be more beneficial for the player and the team to go short term, so you could keep as an RFA and then still cash in. So maybe that's the route they go.
Like a 2-year deal, and then if he
And then,
blows up,
and
then you have the chance for a 7 or 8.
he has like a 30-goal season or whatever in his last year, and then all of a sudden, okay, like now I can really bank in. Because right now he's you sign a long-term deal with him, he's not gonna. There's not much to go off of.
Right. This is one of those where it's like he's going to get two, like you said, Russ, like a 2x3, see what happens, or the Kings come with like here's an 8x6, you know, 8x5, 5.5. Which, if you're Laferriere, you're like, well, do I take that because, or and if you're the Kings, it's like if you're the Kings, like with the cap going up, that he could easily.
Ooh, the Sharks scored.
Be that. There we go.
Chat. Who scored?
Yeah.
Someone tell us.
Jack Thompson. Anybody ever heard of him?
Yeah, obviously.
This is
going to be honest. I have not heard of Jack Thompson.
No, I'm not. No, I have no idea who that is.
Full disclosure.
I thought when someone said 1-1 Thompson, I thought they were talking like a Buffalo game was on or something. He's a defenseman, Cy says, so there's that. Nasty one-timer. Okay.
So this guy right here is saying he's not giving anybody money until we see it in the playoffs. Can't run back the same roster if they fail again.
So, okay, I'm glad someone brought this up because this is an interesting topic because I think this goes a little bit too with how Rob Blake has managed this team this year. What would you guys like? Let's say they do bow out in the first round. Would you be okay just running back the same roster with? Obviously, it seems like there's one roster spot that Kuzmenko is kind of taking in right now. Mm-hmm. So let's say that player ends up being even like a Marner or Kuzmenko. Like, would you just be okay with just running back the same roster?
So the UFAs right now are Kuzmenko, Jeannot, Gavrikov, and Ritter.
And it seems like Gavrikov's going to resign. I think Lewis is a UFA, but I mean,
impact.
Besides like a Gavrikov or like whoever's in Kuzmenko's spot, there's no real other big, impactful free agents.
So because Jeannot's a fourth liner. Kuzmenko is playing on the first line, so he would be an impactful one if they wanted to get rid of him. But to make real change, you would need to trade. You would need to trade and move assets out and have a real identity, right? Switch. I guess if they don't sign Gavrikov until the end of the season, that could be a major switch in identity, right? I mean, if they get a different style of defenseman in here, or if Rob Blake is out and a new GM comes in and has a different philosophy, I don't know. I mean, him and Kuzmenko are the biggest identity changers, but it wouldn't make sense not to sign Laferriere. He's a young, cost-controllable asset who has shown some good play over the year. I could understand you not wanting to make an 8-year deal or a 7-year deal for maybe a guy that's unproven, but a 2-year prove-it contract, even if they fail, it's still a good thing to do on the King side.
But it'd be but you'd be okay with basically bringing back the same roster, because they're all under contract, so they kind of to Russ's point, it's either even if it's not Kuzmenko, say it's Marner or whatever, say it's a similar Kuzmenko or better. At the end of the day, the rest of the roster is basically the same. Are we good with that? Right? Is that the
pretty much
So the only way you get away from that is by trading somebody.
Correct. So, no, Russ is my answer. I'm not okay with that because listen, you all know where I'm going with this. I'm going to say, the Kings will never win a Stanley Cup in these next few years operating the way they're operating on the defense group and stylistically under Jim Hiller. That's not a knock on Jim Hiller. He's obviously a good coach. He's an excellent defensive coach.
The winningest coach in Kings history, Joe.
The winningest coach in Kings history. I genuinely do not believe that the LA Kings, as constructed from a build standpoint, from the defense up, plus a play style and how few chances they create, can win a Stanley Cup.
Someone
So
clip that.
no. So
What do we
no.
do?
I think I think if they bow out again in the first round, I think that Rob Blake would have to go. I don't think he will, by the way, but I think he would have to go. And I think the difficult part there is you have to come in with you would have to hopefully come in with a new GM with a fresh look on life, not Mark Bergevin, who's more of the same. It would have to be somebody from the outside with a different, with a different kind of outlook, because I genuinely, I don't think you win cups these days. This style, I just don't. I don't think they have enough guys that can move the puck in the D. They're clearly missing. Let's not forget, Kopitar is going to be we're seeing QB the second half of each of the last two seasons. QB has looked like a dominant player. We need to see that from October 10th next year, him be 1C caliber, right? If we see that, that has to happen still. But I don't know.
Asking to both. So you don't think, or do you think Rob Blake has bought himself another year with the year this team's having and the moves he's made?
If he wants it, yes. Unless he steps aside on his own accord, yes. I think he's here. Yeah. I don't think his job's in danger. I think he's here as long as he wants to be.
Gotcha. You think the same thing, Randon?
Yeah, because this team hasn't proven to me otherwise that they're willing to make change. I don't think the market is in LA, demands change, where the market's in Toronto.
Agreed.
And stuff like that, demand change.
Yeah.
If we got swept and it was bad, maybe.
Which I don't think it's going to happen, but hypothetically, if they were to get swept or losing 5 and it's not really then maybe that gets the seats hotter. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. But I guess in that scenario, but I really just, if he wants to be here, I think he'll be here.
Yeah, it seems like the writing's on the wall, and I think Jacques is reading it for all of us, that if Blake is gone, Bergevin is next up.
But I would disagree in a little bit as far as being a contender. I know the defense is not a modern defense, but if they get Mitch Marner, they don't re-sign Trevor Lewis, they allow a full season with Hellenius and Turcotte, on the third and fourth line, another player coming up. I don't think we'll see Liam Greentree next year because,
right,
he would have to make the roster out of camp. And even then, do you really want Greentree on the fourth line? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that when you have if you have a first line of Byfield, Fiala, Marner, that's a legit first line.
Agreed.
And Marner is a superstar.
Agreed.
Or at least an elite plus player.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't this team be better or more able to go farther along in the playoffs?
Well, I think so. Fair point. I think and again,
I know you're just tired of seeing Joel Edmondson, Joe, but
couple more years.
Yeah. I think that is part of it, but you have a coach that wants to win a game 1-0 as well. So we can bring in Mitch Marner all you want, but if you're not going to adjust to the play now, again, unless he does, right? Maybe it's okay. We're taking that next step. QB's hit another level. We're bringing in Mitch Marner. Clark has got another year. He's got a year under his belt. So now we're ready to really take the next. And maybe he tweaks some things and makes adjustments that way. Okay, but remember, as one of you guys pointed out months ago, his idol is Jacques Lemaire. Jim Hiller wants to win games 1-0, And until we saw that from the second he took over last year, and that's how he wants to do this. And so Mitch Marner will help that because first of all, he's a really good defensive player. So he kind of fits with the way the Kings play. And obviously he's good enough to create on his own. But we've seen guys that have that create on their own kind of capabilities have periods of struggle. Like we've seen Kevin Fiala struggle at times with the Kings because of their kind of rigid structure. If it's one of those times where you hope you're wrong, but I don't think the Kings in the way their style is, the way they want to win games, I just think you need to be more modern.
No,
I don't know.
I think part of that reason what you just said gives me pause in terms of re-signing Kuzmenko because he's more or less a purely offensive player. And when you have that type of player on this team that plays such a rigid structured game, he can stand out. And obviously he's not standing out now. He's playing awesome because the puck's going in and he's doing all the other things too, which is great.
But he's also bought into the defensive style of play.
Yeah, and if that continues, that's great. I mean, but the thing is too, is we've also seen in other teams with Kuzmenko, this has happened before. And I credit Andrew Knoll because I thought he summarized Kuzmenko and his impact on teams great. He called him a honeymoon player, which it makes so much sense because every time he goes to a new team, he thrives for a year or the early stretch, and then he struggles. We saw it in Vancouver the first year he got there, scored 39 goals, and then the next year he just disappeared almost. And a lot of that maybe was Rick Tocchet coming in and putting his stamp on the team and whatnot. Gets traded to Calgary, pops off with Huberdeau and Kadri, and they're playing lights out. And then kind of falls back a little bit the next year. Ends up gets traded to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia never really panned out. But now we're seeing it in LA. He gets traded to LA, and he looks lights out for a stretch. I mean, first 7 games he didn't score, but still playing good, and now he's scoring. So that's why I get paused. But I think when you add a piece like Marner, who I think is a complete player, and Ren even mentioned it right now in the chat. I see Marner was the Selke finalist 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I think he's a complete player. I think he's the perfect player that I think the Kings probably would want to have on your team. Guy who can kill penalties, play on the power play, play top line minutes, contribute on both ends of the ice. And I think it's more of a shit end of the stick for some other players who don't play on both ends of the ice in Toronto, who probably deserve more criticism. I'm looking more or less at William Nylander, who I think is just a selfish player, which great player, but I think he's just a selfish player. But if you add a player like Marner, I think that kind of turns the tide a little bit to make this team a little bit more explosive.
Yeah,
I think adds a piece that they've never had.
I think that it also, like we said with Kuzmenko, it shoves the lineup down a lot.
Yes,
and then it also is going to have to be relying on a lot of other young players taking that next step. Like I think this team could be a team that makes a push if Kopitar is not the 1 seed and Byfield has superseded him, and that line is Byfield, Marner, and Fiala. Then you're like, okay, well, and then you're getting a 40-goal scorer and Kempe on a second line. Then you're like, okay, that's a good line there. And then does Byfield have it in him to take the Doughty spot? Like with one more year of progression. Will Hiller even allow that? I don't know. Like Byfield is shown to have full confidence from Hiller, so maybe that would be an easier scenario than Doughty. But like if the younger players are taking more of that next step, like Laferriere can take another gear. Can Turcotte with a full season, you see some progression there. Does after Green Tree season is over, do we see him, get a cup of coffee to maybe start the season? I don't know. Like there's a lot of other things. Zemer, yeah, Cole Zemer, yeah.
Yeah. I go back to Kuzmenko for a minute, and I don't know. I don't put a ton of stock into his early career kind of like either struggles or inconsistency. I mean, again, this is a a purely offensive player, and Rick Tocchet, that's just not going to work for very long. I mean, maybe for the first year they kind of let him do his thing, and then he's got to get his paws on him to kind of rein him in. He goes, and now it worked in Calgary for a little bit, but then he goes to Philly, and he's got to deal with John Tortorella. So I mean, these just are not good coaching fits for a player like that.
And
Jim
he's
Hiller
mentioned a couple times the amount of coaches he's had. He's talked, like, it seems like every time we talk to him, he's talked about the amount of coaches.
He's been in the league 4 years. He's had 5 coaches or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and two
and
of
all
them,
the dynamics, right? All the dynamics.
Two of them are hard asses in Tocchet and especially Tortorella. And now Jim Hiller, he's by all accounts really good with, like, not, I wouldn't like a not
very
a hard
much a
ass,
player's coach.
Yeah,
very much a player's coach.
but
yeah.
very defensive in his beliefs and his structure, right? So 3 of these guys are all in on defense, structure, how to play. 2 of them were hard asses, and he's like, "Can I just play some hockey here?" Like you've said, he's always smiling. He wants to have fun. Like, so I don't know. I think that he I don't really put much, in the inconsistencies or whatever in the early part of his career. I mean, between all the coaches and the different organizations and a couple of those coaches just being probably not great fits for him, it's not surprising.
I'm surprised that the Kings have come in and let him. Well, I mean, not let him be him, but I think the reins have been let off of him more than I expected. I mean, he traded for him. They played in the first game. He was playing top line minutes.
Yeah,
there was no structure or anything being indebted into him. It was just go out there and play.
Well done. Yeah, that was well. Like, I loved the trade. That was such a good move by Blake. Like, whether he played, whichever top 2 line he played on, it was such a good move because, again, the other thing that we talked about, it moved Alex Turcotte to the 4th line, and that elevated that line that much more. The balance that was created was outstanding. So I like Kuzmenko. I'm not opposed to bringing him back. If you can tell me you can get Kuzmenko and still be able to go Marner shopping, I'm in. I'm all for it. I don't know, if that's realistic. But yeah,
if you can add Kuzmenko, keep him around, then add Marner to the Byfield Fiala line, then
let me ask you, Russ, because you asked the question. Like, I'll pose it to you. Like, I think if this team goes out in the first round again to Edmonton again, to me, it just seems like it's the same old. We talked about this 3 years ago, 2 years ago. The team doubles down, triples down, quadruples down on the same formula, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. So I say, if they were to go out again to Edmonton in the first round, it would require change on a GM from the outside, and that could require, it may not be able to happen right away because you got guys with no move clauses and stuff like that. So how do you deal certain guys? But you got to move on from guys. You have to change how you, or at the very least, if you can't move the guys out because of what you got to get a coach. And again, I like Hiller. I do like Hiller. He says some bizarre things sometimes, and I don't like the way he plays and that he wants to win games 1-0. I don't like that, but he seems like a good dude, and he's a good coach. Obviously, he's really a smart hockey, tactician, and especially when it comes to his structure. But I just think you gotta evolve a little bit more. He's like a Tortorella or a Tocchet, just nicer.
Exactly.
No,
he very much gets the message across.
Yeah, they're buying in clearly.
I think this is a more interesting. What if they get past the first round? What happens? What if they win 2 series and they get to the Western Conference Finals, and then you add Marner, with the same roster? People are thinking this is a Stanley Cup championship loaded team at this point.
If they get past the first round, I think we talked about this on the last show. If they get past the first round, that would be considered a win. At least a successful season. And a lot of Kings fans' eyes. Probably
no, but I'm talking about the perception of the roster and the adding of like if you win a series and you add Mitch Marner, like they're going to be in talks in the offseason about maybe being Cup favorites. So adding Marner, they're going to be a Cup favorite team. Western Conference Championship team. Like I think winning one series and you add a player like Marner is a whole different conversation than losing the series and adding Marner.
Yeah,
because even though and the roster can be exactly the same.
Yeah, see, that's where I disagree.
It's perception.
It's perception, but it's not actually like my thing wouldn't change. Like you're right, Randon. I think you're right. If they were to win a series and then add Marner, that could go. Everybody's going to be buzzing. I'm still going to have the same concerns. Like this team is clearly good enough to make playoffs. Obviously, they've established that. I don't think the formula is there to win a cup, and that includes with Marner. Now, if I'm wrong, maybe that is not right, and this is the way to do it. But I think, like, the games do get tighter in playoffs, right? So the Kings are going to be used to playing that style, but other teams are more capable of creating that one chance that's needed to score a goal. Like the Kings are reliant on a turnover and a rush chance goal, and they don't create a lot of offense, and everything's from the perimeter.
And the power play has looked a lot better.
It has, and they need that.
And it would look tremendously better with Mitch Marner on it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But so they don't have a play style that is going to create chances.
Such bullshit. Who was that? Stenlin? Sorry.
That's all right.
Guy cross-checks Kopitar a couple times. Kopitar's not going to fall and draw a penalty, of course. The one time Kopitar gives him a cross-check, buckles to the ice like a ton of bricks. That's such bush league, bro. Like, come on. That's just taking advantage of a veteran player. Although, watch the replay. So, a couple of cross-checks.
Yeah.
Who is this? Another cross-check. Well, it isn't minor. A little bit more cross-check. Kopitar gets upset. Minor cross-check, buckles to the ice. This is such a loser. Oh, they give an embellishment. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Good call. Finally.
Hey, I don't want to hear is Green in this chat. I don't want to hear him complain about the referees tonight.
Well, they're both in the box.
Yeah, they gave him
good calls.
That's a good call. Give them both. If you're gonna give Kobe a cross check, that's fine. But that other guy just went down like nothing. Such a loser. But sorry, yeah.
No, good call.
I was gonna go. It's funny because I'm like, if the season ended tomorrow, Kings have home ice. Like, would you guys be surprised if the Kings were favored in the first round series against Edmonton? Would that be surprising?
Yeah.
Look at the odds to make it to the second round. You know that big circle graph?
No, I mean, but like in Vegas. But like, would Vegas favor them? Like sports books, like legitimately favor the Kings.
But it's the odds right now are in the Kings' favor to make it to the second round, 60-40.
Is that on Money Puck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that with a little bit of a grain of salt with how they do it, but I think. So is McDavid healthy in your scenario, Russ?
Yeah, it's just best.
Okay, so just assuming health.
Yeah,
I still think Edmonton is favored. Now they're not going to be as big of favorites, obviously, but I think when you look at, not that this is everything, but like, still looking at the futures to win. Let's see to win the. Oh no, this would be
what? Oh my God!
Let's go,
Marino with the pizza.
Oh,
hell yeah, Marino playing for the Kings.
Yeah,
what was that?
Randon called it. Holy hell, that was
Well,
Merry Christmas.
Couple gifts, but you take it. Hey,
you're doing a no look pass, and then you break your stick. Yeah, it's the stick's fault.
Oh my goodness!
Get him a torpedo stick.
Wow.
Oh man, I can't believe an NHL player just made that pass. That was insane.
Makes me feel a little
Um,
bit better as a high school hockey coach when
How about
NHL
both of the Kings' goals today? The Utah Hockey Club has pretty much scored both goals for the Kings.
So when I look at, going back to the odds thing, like Edmonton is 450 plus 450 to win the West. That's third best in the conference. The Kings are plus 900.
Yeah, that's
You know, so it's like, I don't know. When I look
And-
at the win to cup, Edmonton is plus 900. The Kings last with are still plus 2,000. So I do think Edmonton is still going to be favored
Ooh, Trevor
in that
Moore?
series.
Trevor Moore. Woo! What a move!
Wow. I'm so pumped that Trevor Moore is.
Went up and got some
Yeah.
water. What the heck is going on? Okay, am I just missing something? Why is he called the Raven? What does he call him the Raven? Is that
I don't know. Edgar, is there an Edgar Allan Poe thing or something?
That was
was a great move.
was it Bob Miller that gave him that, or Nick Nixon last year?
Nixon.
Forget what it was.
What a move by Trevor! I love how pumped up he was.
Love that. Love that.
Why are they showing the old Kings logo on the graphic on the bottom?
I just noticed that too.
Let's get it together, boys.
for me thinking Trevor Moore has been so garbage this season? He's got 18.
Yeah. Hey, no Trevor Moore
Dude.
slander. I don't want to hear it.
Aaron Gate Green's in here. Joe, he heard you were talking shit.
Yeah.
Is it-
Let me hear about the officials tonight, Green. Go on. The Kings were gifted 2 goal. The one
goal at least. Yeah.
The embellishment, which was a good call, by the way.
Trevor Moore equals forevermore.
Yeah, I like that, Lieb.
I
Lieb's trying to.
think that's Nick Nixon's reasoning for it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
The Raven forevermore.
I don't know.
I got you.
Oh man, it was on Jersey too. Ouch. Stuff. Poor Jersey.
Well, and Vegas is still down 2-0.
What a move by Trevor. Holy hell.
Tweeners.
This is now it's weird having a goalie that's backwards like this, but the old can opener from a lefty, that was the go-to. Still my go-to.
You go the backhand
Oh yeah.
on it?
Backhand 5-hole. It's one of those moves where you've seen Kopitar do it a million times in like shootouts and stuff or on breakaways, where if it goes in, it looks so silky. But if it doesn't, if the goalie doesn't open up, it looks horrible.
How many did you or how many times did you try to pull off one of Datsuk's like
Never.
pullback changers?
Never. In practice. I try to fuck around with it, but in a game I just stuck to tried and true. I was always going to try to make a move and go backhand. Very rarely did I do
that goal that he scored on Turco. This is just
stupid.
Unreal. This is
That was
one of the most ridiculous goals I've ever seen.
So good.
And to pull it off in a game too. Pavel Datsuk was so good. I say
But
when he
Kucherov
was
is also a good move too.
Yeah, when Datsuk was on his peak, I consider him like nobody talks about it, but he was like up there with Crosby and Ovechkin, like
insane.
with how good he was.
Can I say this though? I'm going to throw this out there, Russ. The best player. Now I've seen Eichel many times. I've seen Kopitar. I've seen McDavid. I don't think I've seen Crosby. The best player that I've seen live, like where I was like, just jaw drop, not flashiness, but literally when he was on the ice, the entire play did whatever he dictated the whole shift, was Daniel Alfredson in Ottawa. It was special watching him play. It was like this dude, it didn't look like he broke a sweat. The puck was on his stick all the time, and he was cool as a cucumber. It was so impressive to watch.
Really?
So important to watch.
I didn't get to watch much of Alfredson play. Obviously, LA, we're out here, and
Yeah,
I didn't have a lot of NHL Sunrise, but
the Alfredson, Spezza, Heatley line was so damn good.
yeah,
It was so
it's
good.
a lot of talent.
Oh my God. And Alfredson, I think that he, like, I don't know, maybe not, maybe out here, because he always was pretty well respected, I think, out here, especially like being in Western New York, like them in Buffalo had literal wars at times. Ottawa and Buffalo did back in the day. But yeah, I feel like maybe I don't know if Alfredson gets the same respect as he probably should. He's so good, though, or was so good.
That was a talented team.
Yeah.
Who was their goalie?
It was at one point it was Patrick Lalime.
Lalime, that's right.
Yes. They also had Ray Emery. They had the fight with Emery and Andrew Peters in Buffalo was insane. Yeah, they had those were fun.
Was
fun
that the Chara was on that team for a little bit?
Yeah. Wade Redden,
yes. Or is being destroyed in New York.
Seriously.
Yeah, when I got in, like when I really got into Kings hockey, it was like Sean Avery, Ian LePerriere, or I guess maybe LePerriere was before Avery, but like Frolov, Josef Stumpel.
Yep.
I'm probably all over the place here.
That 01 team,
yeah,
where they beat Detroit.
Yeah, that team was so fun.
Looks like my TV froze.
Man, Adam Deadmarsh, man, like
yep.
Cut short far too soon. I'm sitting here watching the same Trevor Moore highlight. It just froze on me. I didn't realize it. So, I was like, they're really breaking down this clip because I don't have the volume on.
I don't know. It's funny because I don't know how many times I like remember looking up Jason Allison's like status, like where's he at? Like, and obviously there was no Twitter back then, so you're just like, combing news releases and whatnot.
Yep. Oh my God. What a save. What a gorgeous move that was.
Is that Cooley?
No, it's Barrett Hayton.
Oh,
great save. Great save.
He's a great player.
Don't know what happened there.
Saw Barrett Hayton's first hat trick earlier this year. He's a great player.
Literally the whole screen froze. My remote wouldn't work. I had to unplug the thing.
See, this is a game where Kemper like
put it on a Vezina highlight.
Yeah, like
let's see his numbers today.
And the only goal that he's given up was in a puck-sized hole right in the corner of the.
This is so weird. This like hockey is so weird because you look at it. We're getting destroyed by Utah. It's 28-13. Kings are winning 3-0. And then they just beat the best team in hockey 4-1 and made them look like how they probably should be playing Utah. There was no way that Jets were even close to being into that game the other night.
No.
That was all Kings from the get.
I just see this maybe the thing like the way this I'd have to look at NHL Edge data to see if what I'm saying is even accurate, but like this Utah team plays with a lot of pace, and even last year when they were in Arizona, we saw them give the Kings some fits, because if they're on and they're clicking, they play fast, they skate fast, and they play fast. And again, the way the Kings are, like that can be tough sometimes. That's what is scary a lot of times about Edmonton because they've got McDavid.
So if the score stands the way they are right now, the Kings would be 3 points down back of Vegas with 7 games left.
Interesting. They don't play him again.
Ooh. Almost koozie. That's 6 guys on the ice for Utah. That's too many guys.
Yes.
What was that guy doing?
And
The guy jumped onto the bench, and you jumped on right in front of the guy who's skating the other way, like to play defense.
see, but we wouldn't be playing. We'd be playing the Minnesota if we won the division. As it stands right now.
Oh, Minnesota. I think Minnesota's like a point ahead or 2 points.
No, they're 2 points behind.
St. Louis won today again.
Jesus Christ.
So they would be playing the Wild.
No, St. Louis is in the first wild card, so they're going to play the winner of the division of Pacific.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
This has been such like a
Starting with the second power play. We talked about that.
Like it's like we're playing the Coyotes again. I feel like you can take the Coyotes out of Utah, but you can't take the or Arizona.
Wouldn't it be something if they finally avoid Edmonton and you still lose in the first round?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
Oh, I think they beat St. Louis.
I would think so too.
Or Minnesota, either one.
Give me Minnesota.
Am I
please.
wrong to say, well, but if Minnesota is healthy, I'm not as encouraged by
No,
that?
give me Minnesota. I'm not afraid, even with Kaprizov or whoever.
Kaprizov dominates us, but
they
he
missed.
he was MVP candidate
for like half the season. He's been gone, so it's easy to get lulled into Minnesota not being that good if their best player has been out half the season. If he's back and a healthy him and Eriksson and
Clarkey with a little
the whole crew.
Mishap there.
I think I'd still rather play them, Russ, to your point, than St. Louis, though.
Yeah.
If it gets there.
Yeah, Jacob A. I don't mean to give them the Wild a clip, but I've seen 97 and 29 destroy the Kings the last couple of years. I don't want to see
I will take either St. Louis or Minnesota gladly over Edmonton.
Minnesota doesn't really scare me. Neither do the Jets, to be honest with you.
No, they really don't.
Oh, power play it's getting chances. I can't believe the Kings are winning this game. Doubled up in shots, 14 shots on goal. The thing with Minnesota is they play Brock Faber too much. Or they lean on him like he's like a offensive producing type defenseman. That's not who he is. They don't give Brodin or even Spurgeon or enough love.
Yeah.
Do you need anything?
No, I have my water.
Boring.
You can sit. The camera's like from that corner over. If you want to sit right there and watch the game with me, you can play your games.
No, that's okay. I don't want to risk it.
You're not on the film.
Well, this all of a sudden got to be in a very comfortable game.
Oops, I left my mic on during that. Jeez.
Miss Raiden was on.
Yeah.
Was on the mic for a little bit. I don't think Faber's overrated. I just think they lean on him too much, and that's what's hurting them a little bit this year. There's also not a lot of offense on that team. Like they traded for Nyquist, and he's like their top line player now. They need offense.
They need Kaprizov, Eriksson back. That's what they need. Yeah. That's a team that they could use a defenseman.
They're the Wild's
Is Kaprizov?
defenseman.
He's skating.
Zai-
Is that what you're going to say?
No, but
He's
Zai Buyam is doing a heck of a job
Oh, that's right. They have Boyum. Yeah, that's
for
gonna be
University
the
of
guy.
Denver.
They'll be good in the long run. And I think they're going to lose the Sutter Parisi buyout after this season.
Yep. Yep.
As a defenseman at the University
And
of Denver this year,
Gustafson's had a really nice season.
he's got 48 points in 40 games as a defenseman in college this year for Denver.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, and they got your boy Hiracek.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's not
8 minutes
I don't
left.
think that's
Let's try
going
to
too
close
well.
this one out. Man, if somehow San Jose can pull it out, this would be a really good night.
They got San Jose again too. Edmonton does.
Do they at home?
Yeah, I don't know. No, yeah, I think so. They still got the Ducks. They got the Sharks twice more, Russ.
Hmm.
So they've got the Ducks, the Sharks, and the Kings twice. So it's pretty much Edmonton. They don't control
Vegas?
their own destiny, but
Edmonton has the third easiest schedule remaining.
yeah,
Vegas has an interesting schedule. Jacob A. It's funny, Jacob A. Because I'm looking at Vegas' schedule right now. He thinks they're friendly. I think it's sneakily.
Vegas
hard.
has two.
So yeah, after
Sorry.
this game, they have against Winnipeg. They have a back-to-back this weekend at Calgary, at Vancouver. Then on the next game is at Colorado. Then they have only have two more home games left. The next two home games after that, home to Seattle, home to Nashville. So they should win those two games. But then they finish out the season with another back-to-back in Calgary and in Vancouver again.
yeah.
They have two back-to-backs in Calgary and Vancouver.
The
with like a span
back-to-backs.
of 10 days.
The back-to-backs aren't ideal, but at this point, those teams are toast from a playoff standpoint. So I imagine, especially Vancouver's a mess, and maybe some of the airs let out of Calgary a little bit.
A little bit. They're still hanging around.
They win today.
The strength of schedule difference between us and Vegas is only 0.003 percentage points different.
Calgary wins today. They're 5 points back with a game at hand. I believe they play Minnesota at home. One game. So they're not entirely out of it. There's
you're
chance.
right. They do play Minnesota, and they got the Sharks twice and the Ducks.
Phil Povich talked about that on his podcast the other day.
What's that?
I think he did. I think it was him. Talks about the Calgary Wild race.
Yeah, but Edmonton having the third easiest schedule they do control their destiny.
Funny because up until literally an hour ago, it was St. Louis was still the team in the second wild card, but it's.
Yeah. I think Calgary can make noise.
Yeah.
What's the ETA for Kaprizov?
He's skating. I think they were on a 2-game road trip. They said he wasn't going to play on this road trip, but I think there's hope that he can return when they go back home.
And then Draisaitl, is he back already?
Yeah, Draisaitl's playing. He looks like $1 million.
Yeah, he's back to doing whatever he does.
But is Frederick in tonight?
McDavid thing is interesting. Huh?
Is Trent Frederick playing tonight?
Oh, is he? I'm not sure.
No, not yet. I was gonna say I think there's some chatter about him. He's coming back or he hasn't played yet for Edmonton, but
And then McDavid's timeline is right around playoffs.
I don't know his timeline. He's skating.
Hush with that. Is he
skating? Well, he skated the other day in a non-contact jersey.
Yeah, they've been pretty quiet about that whole situation. So I'm sure we won't hear much of anything.
Yeah, at this point.
Oh, what a Nice little play by Fogle there. Oh. Three-0 Jets in Vegas. Man, it's
with Eric
crazy that,
Comrie,
like,
by the way. With Eric Comrie in that, by the way.
oh. And like I watched when I saw the Kings play the Jets the other day, I'm like thinking like, I don't know, maybe just the Jets on a bad night, but they make the Jets look terrible all year. And I'm like, wow, like this team has won 9 out of 10. And I know they don't have Velarde. That hurts, at least in the power play, big time. But even then, like, they had nothing the whole night.
Yeah, I think matchup-wise, they're a better matchup, despite where they are in the standings, than some teams.
Pierre LeBrun says that Edmonton expects him to be back the last week of the season.
Okay,
Makes sense.
And yeah, they're not really worried about the seeding right now. They're just worried about getting healthy.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last show we did. How that like terrified me hearing that. It's like, yeah, we'll beat you wherever. Doesn't matter. Like, oh, great, cool.
I'll say this though, like, and this isn't going to be popular, but like Edmonton, we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. But tonight against the Sharks, but like they won the first game. They won one of 3 games that had neither McDavid or Draisaitl, which I think is a win. And they've won a couple games. They just beat Vegas the other night. So again, like they're winning games without McDavid. I think that's, that's huge for them because it's, just as easy to say you're out, you lose McDavid, especially that you lost the 2 for a little bit. It could have gotten real bad, and they've stayed right there. And they just take a 2-1 lead.
Edmonton just scored?
I believe is a power play goal.
49ers Rock says Leon just flopped to draw a penalty. Jumped into someone.
Oh, his former King great, Victor Arvidsson.
He's starting to heat up a little bit for them.
Yeah, he's up to 13 goals now.
I think he was a little pissed he wasn't playing as much as he should have been, or he thought he should have been.
Well, the other thing we've talked about with like guys getting knocked down in the lineup and stuff like that. You look at a week ago, this Edmonton lineup didn't have 4 guys, more than a full line with McDavid, with Draisaitl. Then you got Frederick, and then Evander Kane. If he's back in playoffs, that's a full line's worth of guys that is going to be taking out of the lineup.
You see what Edmonton was a nice little zone exit.
What
pass.
on earth was that? I can't get it. I just can't do it anymore. I can't do it.
It's probably the last thing you want to do in that situation.
You know how many D-to-D passes he's made to the neutral zone? Sweet.
That was so funny.
I mean,
I love the guy. I have to.
Listen,
You have to.
I know that I'm hard on him. I hope everybody. I don't know him. He seems like an outstanding dude. He seems like an incredible guy. He seems like a first-rate human being. I strictly talk on the ice whenever I talk about these guys. Like, it's purely on ice.
So Evander Kane has been skating with the team for a bit. He's recovering from both knee surgery and a sports hernia. Unfortunately for Kane and the Oilers, he won't be ready for the end of the regular season. At this point, the goal is for Kane just to get his legs up to speed for potentially a mid-playoff.
I think that's just all wishful thinking. I've heard so much about that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there was talk about him just shutting it down for the year earlier. And I'm like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Now he's going to play. Like, it seems like the whole Landeskog situation. Like, although that seems, I mean, even Landeskog seems a little bit further on than he does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And it seems like Landeskog's been skating in a non-contact jersey for like 2 years. It's wow. Like, I'm like waiting for him to actually play, which is would be great he's a great player.
Yeah, I don't want him to go
That
out
team-
like this. I don't
team
want
looks
him to go out like this.
Unreal. If they are able to get Landeskog back too, like holy hell.
That would
Whatever,
be-
even if he's like the shell of
they're,
himself.
they're going to throttle Dallas. I don't think that's the series that people are making it out to be. Without Heiskanen, without
Yeah,
Miro
without
Heiskanen,
Heiskanen.
that Dallas
Isn't
team
isn't he close to getting back?
I think he's out for the first series. Didn't they say they plan on him being
Yeah,
out for the first
yeah.
round?
I think DeBoer kind of mentioned that.
That ain't
And
gonna work.
we're like Joe, we were talking about the PDO cast with Kevin Woodley
Yeah,
yesterday, and they talked about how Ottinger's been kind of average this year
yeah.
statistically. How even Casey DeSmith's been kind of outplaying him a little bit.
Well, I think Ottinger's run into issues in playoffs because he just runs out of gas. He's been overplayed, so it's probably good that DeSmith plays a bit here down the stretch to give Ottinger as much rest. And yeah, Otter hasn't been great. He has not been great this year. You guys know how big I am on the decors, and that's horrible. That decor minus Heiskanen is tough. Like, I love Harley, don't get me wrong. He's an absolute stud. But look at the right side and tell me that that's a team that can beat Colorado?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, the quote is DeBoer is preparing for the first series without Heiskanen. But they could be getting Sagan back for the first round.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think that the Colorado's forwards are perfectly fine, and they're got studs back there on the blue line too. And Blackwood's playing great in net. So I think Colorado's comfortably better than Dallas right now.
That Brock Nelson edition was perfect.
And
for that
you know
team.
what? And the middle stat Charlie Coyle swap.
Yeah.
I think that's good for them too. Yeah,
Utah net is empty. 2 minutes left. Ooh, that hit Gavrikov.
That looked weird.
There you go, Joe.
Ouch.
684 out there on the ice. 2 minutes left. Oh, that almost hit him in the face. He just kind of had to dodge that one.
Lovely pirouette by
Yeah, that was graceful fall. Yeah, Jimmy, bro went full ballerina.
That was impressive from Gavrikov. And here's the thing, Russ, with this, like, it's a 2-goal lead. I don't know.
We got Mikey Drew out there, and Drew lofts one down the ice.
Oh,
Gets the friendly bounce. That's gotta be like the third goal Drew scored this year. That
From behind his own goal line?
Yeah, behind his own goal line, yeah. Sniper.
Another broken
the saucy snipe.
Is that Marino again?
Marino's gonna run out of twigs by the end of the night.
There's $800 worth of sticks.
The saucy snipe.
No, it was Keller. It's number 9.
He's probably thinking what we're thinking. Like, how did the Kings win this game?
Falling off the face off. What are you doing, dude? Byfield important face-off win. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is actually a gutsy effort. I like it.
I don't know what to feel about this win, but that's a big
know.
You don't often win games where we're not supposed to.
No,
we're not supposed to.
This seems like the opposite of how they play on the road, and yet they still pull out the win.
This is a very. I think it's a good sign. Very good sign.
Hey.
Finding ways to win when your A game isn't there. When you're playing with your B and C game.
And that's where you lean on. That's where you lean on Kemper. And he was huge for them in the first period.
This was a big Kemper glow up win. You could put all the stat.
Yeah,
I'm sure the goal save above expected are going to look great. Add to that save percentage. You got 28 saves on 29 shots so far.
Half of Utah's high danger chances came in the first period. 11 of their 19 scoring chances came in the first period at 5-on-5 anyway. So yeah, Kemper was big early to keep him in it.
Yeah, that's gonna be the story here. hold that first period. The fact that they ended that first period tied 0-0 is a win.
Yep.
Man, the Kings win and the Yankees win. Look at it. Joe's having himself a good night.
That's what I'm
Judge hits
talking
another homer with the torpedo. 3 for 4 with 3 for 5 with 4 ribbies.
The only downside I'm going against him in one of my fantasy leagues, so that's pretty tough. He's a
One goal away from tying Rob Blake.
Oh, yeah, Lieb's the Yankees fan too. I forgot.
Boy, Lieb.
He said, "I'll show you the torpedo, Russ." Easy now.
Trevor Lewis needs a torpedo hockey stick.
I'll say this though, like after the first period, it was really that first period that was really bad for the Kings.
Yeah, or they've been playing good. How are the numbers since then?
The first period they had an 18% expected goal share at 5-on-5. It was just about 50-50 in the second. And then this third period, it was 70% for the Kings. So,
nice. So
from at least from expected goal share, natural stat trick, and some of the scoring chances. After that first period, it wasn't too bad.
Clark in the box, you goon.
Hey, Clark, see if you can close out this game. Good, sure thing, Coach.
Don't do anything stupid. Got you. You count on me. Yeah, Jim. I just heard Jim on the podcast. He says, "I don't think they've been controlled." Oh, wow.
What happened?
Game's not over.
Out of all the goals that have gone in, that one goes in. Well, there goes the PK percentage. How'd this sneak in? Ugh. Kemper. McBain.
Right by Edmondson. Where's the
Can't help yourself, Randon, huh? You just can't help yourself. Damn, that one goal, 4-1, looked so much better than 4-2.
So they're gonna creep to 3 points. They temporarily are 2 points ahead of Edmonton. Or 4 points ahead of Edmonton, I should say.
So would you guys both have your preferred opponents be Wild, Blues, and then Edmonton?
Yes. Yes.
How Russ?
What was that? Sorry.
So would your preferred opponents be in order Wild, Blues, and then Edmonton?
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I think I don't think the Wild are going to catch the Blues, unfortunately. So I think Toffoli just scored. Put that game on.
I just put it on.
I'll stay in here for a couple more minutes.
That was a nice little play.
I cannot though, gentlemen, so I'm gonna get going here.
All right.
Catch you guys.
Mr. Randon.
Good win, Randon.
See you, Rando.
See you.
Joe, while I got you here, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that Kevin Woodley podcast because I thought it was. So I never really listened. I don't know if I've ever listened to Woodley on the PDO cast before, but I love how he is able to illustrate a goalie's technical abilities and the technical aspect of being a goalie to make it to describe it and illustrate it in a way to you can almost see it in your head, because the way he talked about like the fingers up part about person's glove, or even like handshake out where it's like this with the glove, like it's great. So I recommend everybody in here to go and listen to it.
100%.
It's great. And there is a couple minutes segment talking about Darcy Kemper too. So but I don't know, like what were your thoughts like on the whole thing in terms of, because he talked to a little bit too about the environment and I think it was more along the lines of the conversation was tied to Vasilevsky and the environment he's in right now, how they're playing a really solid defensive type of structure. But he even said, like, even with that, like, you have to credit a goalie a little bit too, because you still have to have that mindset of to be called upon in certain situations. So he didn't view it as like a punishment, for the goalie statistically when you're looking at stats.
Yeah, and it's funny because and when he does stuff like that, first of all, the PDO cast is must listen pretty much anytime anyways. But if you're not sure, if you're ever unsure about if you should listen to an episode, there's few guys that I will literally drop everything and I'm turning that episode on, and it's Kevin Woodley, it's Jack Hahn. So go out of your way to listen to those ones. Kevin Woodley is unreal when it comes to goalies. So,
which is funny because most goalie conversations you would think like, whatever goalie conversation, but the way he analyzes and describes it,
he's so good. Yeah, he's so good. And so what he's able to, the way he talks about it is awesome. And now it's funny because Dmitry Filipovich, who's the host, will sometimes give him some crap because he'll always say, well, of course you're going to defend the goalies, and of course you're going to give the goalie some credit because he's being a goalie. But there is something to that. Like, I wasn't a goalie, so I won't. That's why a lot of times I'm going to defer to my best friend was a goalie, and he played into college and into he had a brief stint in semi-pro down in Laredo, but so I'll always talk to him and pick his brain about technique and things like that. And that's why I love Kevin Woodley's show, because he does just that. And yeah, I mean, goalies, this is why. So when I think about going back to the Kings with the way they pepper goalies from the outside, I actually think that kind of is negative in multiple ways. Like, it's negative in that it's a low percentage chance, but it's also negative and it lets the goalie feel the puck. It lets the goalie get into the game, lets the goalie get comfortable, gets a little bit of a rhythm. And I think, that's what, Woodley, was alluding to some of the times was like, sometimes, because to your point, they talked about Darcy Kemper and Dmitry Filipovich rattled off. Like, there's games where he's seeing shots like in the teens.
Yeah, he read all their shots, like totals the last like couple weeks or whatever. Yeah,
and that's not always easy. Like, it's tough. It's a fine line. You don't want to be giving up, 30, 40 shots a night, and I'm sure the goalie wouldn't want necessarily to see that, but your goalie wants to get into a rhythm and get into, because like when the play's in the zone, you get into a rhythm. And one of my favorite episodes with Woodley was before one of the prior deadlines. They talked about, a goalie coming into a team at the trade deadline, and people just think, wow, he's a good goalie, just get a good goalie to get the deadline, you're fine. He's like, at a minimum, I think a goalie needs 10 to 15, maybe 20 games of ramp up time with a team, get comfortable with the system, get comfortable with the defenseman, the communication with the defenseman, tendencies of the defenseman. He goes, that all takes time. You can't just take a goalie, plug him in, and he's good to go. Like Ryan Miller in St. Louis didn't always work that well. Like, it's way more, there's way more nuance to it. And that was a big part of it. So he's great. So yeah, I think it's fair that there is it's a different challenge for a goalie in a scenario where you're not seeing as much action, where maybe it's a little bit harder to stay sharp or stay in rhythm, but that still is a thing that you've got to do.
Yeah, he talked about, he brought up a lot of the other statistics that we're not really privy to. I think he's part of Sports Logic.
Clearsight Analytics, I think.
Clearsight Analytics is what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about the inner slot shots, and I think he mentioned Kemper was second in the league.
Yeah.
In that, I forget who was first.
Might have been, was it Vasilevsky? Or
It was either
Hellebuck? It was
Vasilevsky
Hellebuck. I think it was Hellebuck.
Was it Hellebuck? Okay.
I think.
But
I could
yeah,
actually
I
be
mean,
wrong.
and then so that I thought was interesting. And then the conversation about the rush playing, defending the rush as a goalie.
So
I thought that whole conversation was very interesting because he went into the technical side of it, and that's where I was like, wow, like you thought he's talking about angles, and I'm picturing it happening in my head. And I think he talked about how the Kings, I don't know if he mentioned the Kings in that part, but he talked a little bit about how defending the Oilers or something on the rush. I could be wrong. I have to go back and listen to it, but I thought that whole conversation was pretty interesting.
So it was great because the last time Woodley was on, they were talking about Stuart Skinner specifically because he was struggles and all that stuff. And Stuart Skinner is, and it was hilarious because literally like the next day I watched the 2-on-1, and they talked about how there's times where like Skinner will look like on a 2-on-1 that goes east to west and a one time, it looks like he's just basically falling forward to make the save. Because his lateral movement, he talks about how Skinner is his feet are narrow in a butterfly, so he doesn't move over that. We do pretty well on these watch parties.
Yeah, we have done pretty well.
So Skinner isn't very good at going east to west. So, which is interesting. And then like the next day I watched the 2-on-1 and he fell over, but made the save. Like
Draisaitl got hurt? Draisaitl just left. Sorry.
Did he?
Yeah, he just left the game.
Oh, that's non-con. That he didn't get touched either. Ooh.
Tripped over himself. That should be interesting. Sorry, go back.
No, that's okay. Because he has like a narrow butterfly and a narrow stance, so he's not able to actually get the same type of push off to go over. And now in that conversation, they both talked about like, coincidentally, the one team that probably is least equipped to take advantage of that is the Kings because they don't do a whole lot of east-west. It's very much north-south, from a playoff standpoint. But yeah, because I think he talked about how the Oilers, what gave them some pause or optimism last year was the Oilers were outstanding at defending the rush last year.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And they're not this year.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is interesting. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Clearsight Analytics that he's associated with. And just to give an idea, like, now I've never seen there. I think on the Clearsight website, there's a little bit of rankings. That's it. Like, it's like a taste.
Very minimal.
Yeah. And it will show you like the Kings are bottom 5 in the NHL and chances created, and they are very specific. And when they look at chances, they break down chances by like not just high danger chances of location. They go another level and do pre-shot data. So is there a pass? Is there a screen? So it's really, really in depth of
how do you get access to that?
I don't know. Genuinely. I don't even think you can ask for access. I don't know who, like, it's really like proprietary, the way they have it. And Stefan Valaket is involved in that too. I hope I'm not misspeaking in that he's with the Valaket group and Clearsight Analytics. I think that's what it is. But yeah, the amount of additional levels, that's what's always tough about like why sometimes they may have a goalie that's like, way his expected goal save above expected is going to be much different than say Evolving Hockey's because because Evolving Hockey's just looking at shot location.
Almost granular, which is weird to say about expected goals.
I mean, it's
just advanced statistic.
And it is, and it's still probably much better than a lot of, you just regular statistics. Yeah. But, and I've talked about this a lot too, whether it's on the show or just on Twitter and stuff, like people get mad when a player passes up what appears to be a grade A. Well, if it's a grade A against a set goalie, it ain't really a grade A, right? Like there's not, if that goalie's set and clear, he's got a clear lane, you're probably not beating him. So that's why players will make that extra pass. And so it may look like you make the extra pass and it gets deflected off or whatever. And it's like, you should have shot it. Well, the shot has 0 chance of going in. Okay, not 0, but it has such a low percentage chance of going in, and it's a turnover if it's not, or at least it's a whistle. It's a face-off. You lose possession. So you make that extra pass, that percentage chance of that play resulting in a goal goes up. You know what I mean? Now maybe it gets deflected off the defenseman, but if it doesn't, that's a tap in type of thing. So that's why that stuff happens, and that's the type of things that his site or that website go into, is that pre-shot data and these passes across the slot. You know, and he's got statistics on what goalies are better in tight on passes across the slot. Like it's great. I love it. Yeah, I wish I had access to that. Because it's fascinating.
Yeah, the part where he mentioned Edmonton being so good against the rush last year and now being somewhat average, and it like opened my eyes a little bit, because it's like, okay, yeah, I remember seeing it last year, like, because when Edmonton really wanted to shut it down, they could, and they did at that time, and we saw it obviously in the playoffs. That one game, I think it was game 4, it was just like Kings had held Edmonton to 13 shots, and they ended up losing 1-0 or 2-1, whatever it was. And so I think that's why these 2 games feel so important, because, and I don't know, like, how much, like, coaches, like, would, like, how much do you, like, play your hand or show your hand, whatever, in these games, even though, like, you're still fighting for home ice. So that aspect is important.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I don't even know if that's really going to be factored in, because, like, coaches are still going to play their guys. It's not like you're going to just play a fourth line out there just to not play your hand. But then, like, I'm going to be looking into that, like, situation where, like, okay, how good is Edmonton at defending the rush now against this Kings team with the after trade deadline, right? You've talked about how you love the Wallman trade, how it's kind of solidified their decor a little bit, and how they really seem to, like, just turn it up whenever they play the Kings. The Kings are their number 1 rival. McDavid has said that. Obviously, the Kings or Edmonton is the Kings' number 1 rival. That's not a secret. So it's this game on Saturday, I feel like it's going to be huge, not just in the standings, but in terms of, like, okay, what are the weaknesses in this Oilers team now, and how can the Kings exploit it in certain situations just before the playoffs now?
Is it a negative for the Kings that, like McDavid's probably not playing Saturday, so you're not going to get a full real look at it, right? So I don't know.
That is something interesting to think about, because as far as, like, matchups, right? Like, you're not going to get the full, like, okay, like, what's going to happen here if Knobloch puts out Draisaitl at this part, he throws McDavid here, who do I counter with, especially at home? You're not going to get that option.
You know, and the episode before this, I think his name is Steve Peters, was on that PDO cast, and he talked a lot. He's a former video coach, NHL video coach, and he said, you know, this goes sort of along the lines of what I've been saying for a while about, like, I just think a series is different than random games throughout the season. That's why I don't put a whole lot into home and away during the season. But, like, you're getting a chance to get, it's one team that you're preparing for. And so what he talked about was really all you're preparing for is game 1. You prepare for game 1. This is where your video guys make the money. And it's easier for teams like LA and Edmonton because you know who you're playing, right? There's a lot of teams that don't know who they're playing yet. So figure you got to try to come up with and prepare for 3-4 different teams.
The amount of data the Kings must have on Edmonton must be
and vice versa, right? So these teams, he's like, you're preparing for game 1. Then that's where the coaches, you find out who the best coaches in the NHL are after games 2 through 7 of a playoff series, because then it comes down to adjustments and what adjustments and who's going to make the adjustments, right?
Skinner just scored for Edmonton.
Did he? You're ahead of me again. No, that's all right. No, nice little tip. So that's another thing to consider is you know, depending on how that game one goes, you know, we've seen Knobloch last year was pretty good. I think I would say at some of the adjustments that he made, because there were times throughout that where he had to come back in a series, right? They were down in almost every. I don't know if they might have been down in every series. Were they down because didn't the Kings win game one?
Yeah, the Kings won game one. Yeah,
They were down in the Vancouver series.
mm-hmm.
They were down in the Cup.
I
Obviously,
just don't know about Dallas.
I can't remember Dallas either. But point is, like, you know, there's after that game one, you've got these two teams, Kings and Edmonton, are preparing. They've been preparing for each other, right? They're 2 weeks, really, weeks to prepare and break down every matchup, break down every line combo, break down every defense pair, you name it, structure, D system, everything, power play, penalty kill. So when you see game one, I think that's why there's a lot of maybe kind of feeling out time sometimes in that game one of a series, is because teams are kind of, it's like a chess match. And then
people are saying the Kings won game two.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't remember them winning game one.
Could be wrong.
I don't remember. So, but you know, you figure how that series goes along, you know, is you got Knobloch, a young coach, versus Hiller, young in terms of experienced coach. How do they handle that? I mean, they just did it last year, obviously, but there is probably more pressure on Edmonton this year or on Knobloch this year, because his team is different and his team is you know, probably not as good. I think the D-core is better, but I don't know if, you know, the forward group I think has lost, at the very least, it's lost speed. Like if Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson can like get hot relative, whatever that means for those two players at the right time, they can be productive players. But it's going to be different because, you know, Fogle flew up and down the ice, McLeod flew up and down the ice, you know, Holloway was a quick player.
Yeah.
So they're going to do it in a different way. Not to say
I'll say
but
the penalty kill is still, or I mean, I guess the Edmonton power play is still going to scare the living hell out of me.
Of course, yes.
And like I've seen these elite teams. I know the Kings love to pressure on the penalty kill like crazy. Like that's their MO this year, and it works at times. It works probably. They're top 10 for a reason, probably partially because of that. But when you get to these high skilled teams, pressure is nothing to them. They see a guy coming at them, McKinnon can just spin away. McCarr can just spin away. Draisaitl can just spin away. It's easy for them to escape. They have that escapability to get away from those oncoming penalty killers. And it's like, but then in the Kings aspect, I get it though, because you've played a more stagnant kind of sit in a box, whatever diamond penalty kill system the last couple of years, and it hasn't really worked. So at this point, you just have to try anything else. But still, like, if you don't win, at least keep up special teams. The Kings are going to get destroyed again.
You can't go over on the power play, and then what was Edmonton, like 50% on like that? Can't happen.
Unreal.
Now again, I will say I don't expect it to be that extreme, but you're right. I mean, they can't do that again,
and that's why the Kuzmenko trade is just perfect. It was just everything this team needed, and that's why you got to like tip your cap to Rob Blake for finding the perfect fit for what this team needed. And it's so funny because I think you mentioned it, how I'm surprised none of us saw it. Exactly, because he's exactly what he did.
Unless we were like, there's no way they're gonna go get a guy like that.
Maybe that could have been, like, why would they go out and trade for a pure offensive talent like him? We're thinking like two-way players, like whoever, and
maybe we did consider
it
in our own brains, and we're like, no, I don't think so. I don't know. Like I'm so torn because I buy that when people say, you know, Edmonton isn't as good. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if I buy that they're not as good. I'll buy that they're different, and I don't know if this different is going to be good for them because they're not as fast. You know, they
think their defensive core is better?
I do think their defensive core is better. Yes. Yeah. Because again, you had it. Hey, Knobloch he kept going back to it, and then he quickly changed after it because it was so bad. Like they had Nurse and Cece were getting caved in.
Man.
And
awful pairing.
I think when you look at that top four, and it's Nurse and Wallman, Ekholm, and Bouchard, and you know how much I'm a big Kulak guy. I think it's a better decor.
Dreisaitl's doubtful to return, and Hockey Bro 51 says Ehlers got hurt tonight.
Really?
He said he just went down the tunnel. Oh, that Draisaitl, I just saw. Oh, he stepped on the puck. Oh. That first fall I saw, it didn't look too good. Oh, he's laboring a bit. You can tell. The fall looked worse than when he stepped on the puck.
He's moving okay. Like obviously he's felt something. Listen, if those guys are not healthy, if those guys are not healthy, because you know what? I mean, they're probably not. They may not be 100%. I mean, so when people say that this is the best opportunity for the Kings to beat them, I don't even disagree with that.
No,
I think that's true.
The thing is, Joe, I hate that though. I hate it because now the expectations are here. If this is like we talked about, like people have talked about, this is the best Kings team in like years that we've seen. And now we're talking about a potential series where you get 97 and Draisaitl, who might not be 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and then you have home ice on top of that with the home record.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is so much good going around for the Kings in this series that it's almost like you need to beat them at this point. And it would almost feel even worse than any other loss the past 3 years.
Do you know what was wrong with Draisaitl on this before he just came back? He missed because he came back and looked like
that game against Calgary, that Battle of Alberta game,
dude,
unreal.
Like he didn't look like he was even like 99%. Like he looked 100%. So I'm wondering like if what he just did is brand new. I mean, you step on the puck, you do anything wrong that little, it could tweak something, or if he was whatever he was dealing with, it seemed like he fixed it because he looked awesome. So I don't know, and I have no idea what's going on with McDavid, obviously. So,
well, at this point, with what's gone on tonight and McDavid being out, I would expect both of them to be out Saturday, which if you're the Kings, this is lining up pretty good for you to at least try to lock in home ice.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Edmonton, like I'm sure, obviously, if they had to choose, they would rather have home ice. But like, it's way more important to have those guys healthy than
and it's getting to the point where it seems like home ice is almost more important for the Kings than it is Edmonton at this point too.
Yeah, especially given the health. Like, I wonder if those guys are healthy, then maybe there's a little bit more talk of them. Although it just hasn't been talked about at all in Edmonton, at least from what I can tell.
I think they're just more of a make the playoffs type of vibe mood right now.
Because I'm telling you,
Joe, I know you don't think it might not happen, but I mean, Vegas is going to lose tonight. 3 points back.
Yeah,
St. Louis scares the hell out of me, man. I'm telling you, like that's as much as we want to get away from Edmonton. Like St. Louis is not much of a consolation.
It's not. But you know what? I just think, but here's the thing. What scares me about Edmonton and Colorado and those teams is like the elite talent, I don't think the Kings can handle. Like the D can't handle it. And I give all the credit to St. Louis and the way they play. But I think that's an LA Kings style of play that they can get with and they can manage. They don't have to
Binnington, though.
I'm not worried about Bennington.
No? Okay.
I'm to a fault. I'm not a Bennington believer. I'm not worried about him. I know he's playing really well right now.
I mean, Hoffer is playing good for them too. It's both of the goalies.
Yeah.
They're both playing pretty well.
Those games are going to be horrible. Those are going to be 6-1-0 games. Kings Blues.
Islanders Capitals on the West Coast.
It'll be better quality though than that. I think.
Okay.
I hope. But no, that is going to be sludge hockey to a T. But I think they can handle St. Louis because I don't think that's why I say I'm not sure where I'm at with St. Louis or Minnesota because Minnesota's got freaking Kaprizov's a game breaker. That dude, like you said, was an MVP in the MVP conversation before he got hurt. So like, I love St. Louis. I'm a huge Jordan Kyrou fan. Hopefully Lieb is still in here. But like he's not McDavid, he's not Draisaitl.
And the Kings haven't played him without. I mean, they played him that one game with Kuzmenko, but that was like he literally just landed that day almost.
Yeah, I mean, they're good.
But I'm trying to see if we got anything on the Spence deal before we get out of here because I'm going to hop off in a second. But I haven't heard anything so far, and I haven't got the audio yet. But hopefully, we get some word on.
Yeah,
and Lieb's still here, so we heard your Kyrie.
That way, Lieb. Yeah.
All right, everybody. I think that'll be it. I know it's past midnight over there for Joe, so I appreciate you staying up with us over here, Joe.
You got
this riveting 3-1, 4-1?
4-2.
4-2. That's right. Darcy Kemper. Short
huge.
So we got hopefully we got a fun one. I don't know what'll be the status of Draisaitl and McDavid, but it's Oilers. It's in LA. And it's a day game. So you should be up for that.
So it's 4:00, right?
Uh-huh.
So I should be good to at least that should be I should be good for that. Sometimes it's tough if it's too early. This is where it's so hard for me, Russ, with the little kids and everything, trying to time it 9 o'clock. Usually like 9:30 is like is the perfect time, right? But 4:00 I'll be able to have it on. If I'm not be able to watch intently, I'll for sure have it on in the background or something. So at worst.
Yeah. So the earlier the better. We need to come on. Let's do some 7 o'clock start times maybe at home next year. Let's hook our boy Joe up.
For the love of God.
Yeah. You'll actually be able to sit through a couple periods next time. All right, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in the chat. Appreciate y'all.
See everybody in the chat.